Ladies and gentlemen, we have returned to Season 4 of SCS, and Blue Panda will be joining me today as it's going to be Synthetic versus InControl Nation doing battle in this best of 2.
Yeah, we're coming into yet another interesting matchup. Synthetic, they've risen through the ranks slowly but surely, coming into the later stage of the season. They've had some standout performances in recent weeks, notably taking a map off of Pride in our last Playday. This is going to be an interesting one, Chief. InControl Nation, they're top of the table. This is going to be one of two situations, in all honesty. Either it's going to be InControl Nation just getting themselves some more points, getting themselves further up the ladder, or it is going to be a bit of an upset. And honestly, an upset would still be potentially Synthetic taking InControl Nation to overtime on both the maps, because that's not what anyone's expecting here. They're expecting a shutout, but with the way Synthetic have been approaching the game, have been approaching the tournament in the new patch, they're looking pretty solid.
Yeah, and they've actually been boot camping, they being Synthetic. So they've been working on their coordination, communication, and their overall macro strategies. And so far, for the past week, what I've heard is they've started to improve a lot. But that's also a problem because one of their key aspects to their success, Crafty, will be unable to play today since he's under the weather. Now, Synthetic has been pretty solid on that second map pick, which is Clubhouse. That has basically become their bread and butter. So hopefully InControl Nation is able to, well, pull up VODs on them and counter strat, which might actually be difficult since Hawk, the analyst, has departed from INC.
Yeah, there's been a couple of swaps coming in towards the end of the year, and not having all the support stuff that you would have wanted to can mean, especially, those analysts, they play such a key role in preparation coming into new weeks of play. And especially against teams like Synthetic, where, if you do let things slip, you let that standard drop, they can actually abuse that and start to take things away from you. Still newish territory that we're standing in with Neon Dawn and play, so there's a little bit of leeway either side that we could see them picking up some rounds against InControl Nation here. But Kafe, Clubhouse, nothing crazy out of the ordinary here. The go-to standards pretty much for the T3 scene, so I'm not expecting anything crazy to come out of either these teams. Probably some the craziest we get is spawn peaks and runouts and all that sort of thing. And InControl Nation, they're a team that know they can get away with it. On the screen, though, we are going to see those boys of Synthetic. Hazmat, Emin, Pixel, Salt, some names that you all know and love, but unfortunately, they're still trying to push their way towards the top of the table.
And Breeze will actually be joining us today all the way from DVX. Now, he won't be going by his primary account in-game. He will be going in-game as A-Man. So we're going to have A-Man and A-Man in this lobby. So be prepared for pure chaos when it comes to, naming some of these individuals. And it looks like we've actually had some role swaps on the side of Synthetic. They used to be primary entry all the way through, well, the 5th entry, but it looks like they've settled it down their roster a little bit, have done some more, well, standardized, except for Hazmat on the Haz role.
Yeah, he's had a bit of a rough season, in all honesty. He's been the butt of a few memes throughout the community, and he's looking to try and get himself back into it. I mean, that performance that we saw out of the guys against Pride was definitely a good showing from them. They clawed it back. They put on a real show for us. But on the other side of the docket, Chief, it is InControl Nation, and we will be chucking their stats up in a second as well. And on the whole, they've been looking real solid across the board, more than the 1.0 rating average. You got the likes of Yusuke, Bone, Navozo, Kojin, and Exile, who really have been standout performers throughout the main run of this tournament. Yusuke, he plays a very, very solid SAS role. He's entry on the attack. He plays smoke mute on the defense. Absolute fiend with that SMG11. Great in those clutch situations. Goes under the radar a little bit, but I mean, without him on this roster, I don't think InControl Nation would be nearly as good as they are in the standings.
And InControl Nation is incredibly consistent. They seem to do a lot of things well. But if I have to be critical about the Inc roster, it's the fact that sometimes they get into series like, we're just going to win this outright, so we're going to meme and have fun. Then their prey is actually, well, aggressive back to them, and they can't seem to make that mind shift basically back into 110% effort. But since Nevo and Exile are now on the roster, I think we've seen that go away. They're taking every game seriously, and they're going to fight 112% every time they show up in a live match.
Yeah, they really capable of putting on a show when they need to. And coming into this Kafe Clubhouse, it's maps that they have played previously, and they haven't been too tested in all honesty. You can see there their second to last match in the season. 9-7 was probably the closest they've been taken so far in either of these maps. And you just look at the stats across the board, phenomenal so far. You're looking at the likes of Kojin, 18-9 on those entries. Definitely someone who can get in, get the job done without being heavily punished. Unfortunately, Yusuke, he's not quite the same. He's that player, though, that you want alive in the dying moments of a round because, boy, have we seen some big clutches out of him so far this season. You know, those 1v3s, 1v2s, in those dire moments when he needs to go big, and he's always pulled that out of the bag. So I'm excited to see what happens, just how far InControl Nation will be pushed in this matchup. But you look at the standings, InControl Nation, if they do pick this one up, they'll secure themselves second place at the moment. They've got a little bit to go to try and contest Wichita Wolves, who are sitting phenomenally at the top of the leaderboard with a whopping 43 points, so at least a series and a half clear. Actually, no, more than a series and a half clear of the next closest, which is Lycus Empire. So there's a lot of work that some of these teams need to do in the coming weeks to try and vie for that first place position.
I love how close second and fourth place are to each other. Basically, it is going to be interchangeable for the remainder 3 weeks. And we're going to see basically those 3 teams, Lycus Empire, Ryux Rising, and Control Nation, just basically bounce back and forth who is going to take that second place slot. Because as you were highlighting, Wichita Wolves has just started to run away with these points like they did back in Season 3 all those months ago. And on the other side of the coin, that 5th through 7th roster spots are just as close, where any of those teams can qualify for the top 6. It's just going to come down to how they pan out in the remainder few weeks.
Yeah, and those of you that might be a little bit confused, Dallas Vendetta is first attempt. They've gone through a rebranding process, so it's not a situation similar to what we saw with Renaissance where, you know, unfortunately they had too many forfeits. No, it's still that first attempt roster. They are just, you know, floating around under a bit of a new tag, new graphics and everything, so they've just gone through a bit of a rebranding process to come more in line with the org that they are now under. They are one of those teams that is going to be vying for a top 6 spot here. Emergence and Pride definitely in position where they could be knocked out before the end of the regular split. And you see across the board some big stats being put up. Goria still sitting top of the table with that 1.42 rating, has been a stand-up player. Unfortunately, the rest of the roster has not quite lived up to that performance that he is bringing week in, week out. Emergence, they've got a lot of work to do, but you see Wichita Wolves across the board, they are really doing some big stuff. If I remember correctly, I believe I saw one of the players has stepped away. So Iski, if I think you might know this one, Chief. Iski stepped away from main roster.
He officially did today. So Wichita Wolves are going to go back into the slums of trying to find a solid 5th. Basically, the first 5 weeks of this season has been Wichita Wolves trialing new players. They finally landed on the roster they were happy with. And then obviously, happy in rainbows sometimes goes away, and Wichita Wolves are going to have to put their nose to the grindstone and find their 5th. Now, fortunately for them, there are phenomenal entries still on the market. So hopefully they're able to bring that player on, whoever he or she may be, by next play week.
Yeah, and you see, carrying on with the teams, that's Lycus Empire, a team that is nipping close on the heels of Wichita Wolves at the moment. They could utilize some of that turmoil that is currently being undertaken by the Wichita Wolves roster and look to push themselves into first place. But they themselves have not been immune from certain issues in terms of coming into Playday and distinct lack of preparedness. Synthetic, yeah, one of our teams playing in this matchup. You see them, yeah, Hazmat. He's a bit red at the moment. He's 0.78, has been doing a lot of work, in all honesty, trying to get himself closer to that 1.0 rating, but given how the season went for him, it is a bit of a slog, Chief.
Well, he started this season off on that primary entry role, and I just don't think he was comfortable there. Now he's playing this flex support style role, and honestly, his performance has been phenomenal. He's also on the flank watch role, and when he gets his head in the right mindset and he's conscious of his micro positioning and where he's putting himself on the map, finding himself in advantageous gunfights, he can truly be an asset. But I think it's on him to determine his level of performance. He's a very young player, and sometimes, you know, that mental mindset, that go, go, go mindset takes a little while to develop, unlike his teammates who have him beat by a few years.
Yeah, it's one of those big things that you see a lot of teams trying to balance at the moment. The the maturity that comes with age, plus that just the young gunner capability. So a lot of teams, a lot of players that in the coming years will start to hit that level of maturity and actually cement themselves a very, very solid position at the top of the community. But carrying on through the predictions, largely a lot of favor for InControl Nation. No real surprises there, given the disparity in the placements, the standings at the moment. So a lot of favoritism that way. No real calls for a tie. I mean, you and I, Chief, were talking about it. In fact, the entire production team was talking about it before we went live. The biggest upset probably going to be if an overtime happens here. Synthetic, they're not pegged to do amazingly well. They are battling against what is arguably one of the better teams in this competition. CDC, though, definitely favoring Synthetic, so maybe going a little bit against the trend here.
You know, something that we didn't talk about earlier was Redux Rising and their roster shifts. Now, they weren't able to play yesterday because they're still trying to get their roster all in order, but we'll talk more about them, I guess, in the next week. But all I have to say is basically that old homeland that seems to just keep mixing its way into SCS has reared its ugly head once again. And there are some nasty, nasty players on that new Redux Rising roster. And I'm so eager to see how they'll perform. Obviously, not in week 9 since they were forfeited, or not in week 8, but how they perform in week 9.
Yeah, and look, let's be honest, Kafe, Clubhouse, two maps that the stock standard of the competitive scene at the moment. I'm interested to see if any work has been done in terms of counter-strating coming into this matchup. I know Synthetic will be trying to push for that as much as possible. Any wins they can get on the board here will be just worth their weight in gold, in all honesty, which is ironic given that it's a digital platform and they don't weigh anything. So realistically, it's not the most valuable situation. We are just waiting on the last couple of things to get us into the server. But Synthetic starting off on the defense. Chief, what is your prediction for the half split at the moment?
I think we're going to probably see a tie at the half. I'm going to be honest with you. Now, like I was saying earlier, Synthetic has been practicing both these maps. They have good strategies for these maps. We're going to have to see how InControl Nation breaks that down. You were talking about support staff earlier. Erebus and Sean have now joined the Synthetic roster as their analyst and coach respectively, and they have been grinding a lot to bring this roster to greatness. Now, I know a lot of individuals have been very critical of Synthetic with their roster moves and just roasting them on the TL, but this team is something that is capable of greatness. They just need to set their alarm clocks, show up to practice, and put 110% effort into everything they do, because I know they're ranked monsters. I know they can achieve greatness. I just need them to basically also feel like they can achieve greatness.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you go into a matchup not believing in yourself, you're gonna find yourself struggling somewhat in those gunfights. You got to back yourself 100% at the end of the day. Otherwise, hey, look, the mental game is just as key a part as making sure your mechanics are up to snuff in this game. And going into Clubhouse, InControl Nation starting off in the defense there. We talked about Kafe. You're looking at a 3-3 split going into the half. Surely InControl Nation then carry it over on their defense. Are we going to see just an absolute shutout on Clubhouse defense, do you reckon?
Well, Synthetic is phenomenal on Clubhouse. They've had some of the most impressive Clubhouse strategies, particularly on defense, that I've seen. The only team that has shocked me more with, well, the strategy they're bringing up on defense is Wichita Wolves. The way they utilize Anarchy and Lobby is something that I haven't seen at any level other than in T1. So maybe Erebus has done his homework and is basically starting to challenge or channel in his inner Anarchy energy. But also, InControl Nation is phenomenal at doing VOD reviews. So if you constantly are doing the same smacker strategy over and over again, a team like INC will absolutely punish you.
I mean, they're also a team that's shown a great amount of adaptation on the fly as well. You would be hard pressed to win a round if you play the same strategy 2 rounds in a row. They're going to catch on reasonably quickly. I mean, we've seen their attacks even change up on the fly. They go to an attack, especially I remember specifically seeing them on Villa. I believe it was a statue trophy hold. They went in from master bedroom. That did not work at all. Next round we see them coming in from the study side of things. So they are a team that has a lot of potential. They do use that potential quite well, and they attack some very, very scary fraggers. I want to see Synthetic step it up today. I want them. We saw them take a map away from Pride, knowing full well that Pride probably wasn't as prepared as they should have been in that situation. In Control Nation, I don't think you can take that same approach. I want to see Synthetic, they come out of the gate, bring something a little bit different to the table, especially with the changes in Neon Dawn. There's a lot of room to work now on the attack. There's some changes that have made it significantly easier to attack certain bomb sites. So I think if there were two maps that would guarantee Synthetic a shot at taking a map away from one of the top 4 teams, it would be this one. And yeah, look, back to the stats. Unfortunately, just the opening half of the season has resulted in some rather unfortunate results. They haven't quite gelled. Pixel coming into the team though has been a standout performer. Has sort of bounced around the T3 scene in NA for a good long while, and it's seeing that he's found a home now. He definitely seems to be gelling with the boys.
Something that concerns me about the stats of Synthetic is Amen's entries. 0-9 and 24. That is far too low, and he's one of the best mechanical players on this team. Now I know he is a flex player, so he's not always in that entry mindset, but I'd still like to see him find a little bit more impact. But it looks like all 10 players have confirmed they are ready to start this best of 2 series here on Kafe. Most likely going to be Thatcher, the instantaneously banned. Everybody seems to dislike that poor fellow, and well, he usually is accompanied by another heart breacher.
Yeah, honestly, I'm pegging probably Thermite, Ace, Mirror, and Cade would be my go-tos in terms of the ban. So Thatcher, there. I mean, look, that one's basically a freebie. Everyone knows Thatcher is a go-to ban on a map like Kafe Clubhouse can be so key. I'm pegging an Ace just because there's been more of a priority around him than the Maverick at the moment. Maverick not quite as consistently strong on a map like Kafe. No, it's going to be Buck instead. So InControl Nation trying to deny some of that heavy vertical control, which teams have been playing into with the recent changes. It's going to be a bit more security on that third floor hold.
Now, back when Buck had nades, you'd bring Buck to actually clear all of Cocktail. So you have 3 little bars in Cocktail, and usually your Maestro would sit on one of them. Well, you'd Buck from underneath, get a nice line of sight, or you would start to send frag grenades sky high and remove the lower half of Maestro. Well, that meta has kind of fallen away because utility consumption simulator, and also the fact that Buck no longer has his nades. So maybe we're seeing that macro strategy start to come in since utility consumption simulator has recently been nerfed with the new season, or maybe they're just trying to shut down, the sledging or the removing of the ceiling of downstairs.
Yeah. Interesting, we see the MI ban coming through, given that, with the changes that were made, he's down to 4 magnets, he doesn't have the shield anymore. Not quite as strong as he once was in that utility denial meta in the last season, but now he's going to be targeted away, which is going to leave some interesting picks here for Synthetic. The Capcan, I would imagine, is going to be the 6th pick here. Goyo is an operator that is traditionally played usually upstairs, but hey, there's options down on the 2nd floor bomb site as well. Maestro, yeah, it makes a little bit more sense. Nothing crazy out of the ordinary. You're seeing what you would expect on both sides of the scale here. But round number 1, Reading Room Fireplace to kick things off here, Chief. They're going tertiary, trying to potentially get themselves an early win on the board and not have to go back to that bomb site for a while.
This actually could work out very well for Synthetic if they're able to play into their stage roam. Something that they've been struggling on, but something they've also been trying to work on. That type of meta is where you push up all the way to the west, which is piano, snipe away a drone, and start to walk your way back, wasting time, and a lot of the attackers gathering utility. That is going to be their little roly-poly drones. Now, if they start to flash jump and utilize their grenades during that stage roam, that means you as a defender are going to find yourself in a better position when you actually start to have the attackers go for their execute. But Synthetic has to be able to waste time. They have to be able to perfect that stage roam here in round 1.
Well, getting into round number 1, action phase underway. Koji, he's on his own with the diffuser. He's by the Christmas market. We'll get there eventually. As they start to push on towards the building, probably going to be heading straight up to the roof, straight to the hatches, straight to the skylight as well. Clear out some of that 3rd floor pressure, which has been the go-to. It's what you traditionally see on this hold. Pings coming out, trying to communicate all that information, the vertical angles as well, so they know there is some play coming in early early breaching around to deal with that Vulcan shield as well. So they're quickly taking care of that utility for the defense. Synthetic, they've got to find some way to significantly impact. The Crawl and Emmett has been tagged up as well. Yusuke inside the building, Navozo tag. There's a lot of pressure early on here, Chief.
And it seems like InControl Nation has already set up a 360-degree crossfire on this third floor. An aggressive wide swing from Pixel, though, and that is going to be Yusuke falling. Now, Pixel might find himself in some trouble as he rotates back over to Lumber as Navozo was outside that white window. But no shots exchanged, and Navozo going to have to reposition if he wants to actively deal with white. Now, with Amen's position known, his back against the wall, he might be felled, but Pixel's gonna just start flying out windows. Bone was unprepared, and Salt's gonna find another impact frag. InControl Nation set everything up right. Their crossfires were impeccable, but they were not prepared for the level of aggression that Synthetic already started to utilize.
Big damage done. We find ourselves now with a minute 15 on the clock and only 2 players remaining here for InControl Nation. You look at Eminem's top white. Navozo goes down. Pixel finds his third in the round. Looking for more. Emin will finally be felled. It's Kojin with that AK-12 to confirm the kill there. Deny the flawless round. Pixel could potentially find himself a quad here in the opener of Kafe. Dostoevsky. Kojin. He's going to see the traces, see the player pushing in from Cocktail. Unfortunately, can't quite connect the shots. Assault there doubles up on that initial frag. Kojin goes down. And InControl Nation lose out on a round rather convincingly.
And it looked like InControl Nation did just about everything right in round number 1. They set up the 360-degree crossfire. The utility and those Goyo shields were on islands. And, well, INC just started to remove them for free. But then Novozo made a very bad rotate. He was tasked with holding that white window on the AC unit as well as an upside down rappel. But when he went upstairs to get on a drone to have Yusuke take control of the map, well, that just left a huge hole for, well, Synthetic to start getting aggressive. And it seems like INC wasn't prepared for that level of aggression. So it's now on them to make that adaptation and understand that Synthetic wants to take gunfights. So INC has to be prepared for that at every single turn.
Yeah, I mean, look, hey, it's a Jaeger. What does a Jaeger do? You put down your utility denial and then play the game as you could possibly want, and that's exactly what Pixel did. Aggression was the name of the game, and he turned it into 3 very, very solid frags. One of them outside the building, where he spent probably more time than he should have. But now, coming in around number 2, it's Kitchen Defense. They've got, well, again, all the tools on the board they could possibly want to deny here, and InControl Nation coming in around number 2 with a single frag under the belt is not a situation you would have expected to see out of them anytime soon. They're going to have a hard time getting into the building, well, getting into the bomb site, sorry, at the moment. Cade and Bandit both on the board. A huge amount of breach denial. They're going to have to probably brute force their way through some of those choke points. And with the way that Synthetic have proved they can gun in that last round, choke points are not the place you want to be if you're InControl Nation.
And InControl Nation is bringing 2 Claymores, one on Ash and one on Sophia. This is a great way of stopping aggressive plays, particularly on Windows. Now, common thought would have you bring breaching charges, particularly here on Kafe, since they make a larger hole than a sledgehammer. And the event that Exile was to fall early on, you still have enough lethality to actually have good vertical play. And we're talking about Synthetic utilizing the stage roam. Well, a perfect example of it was Salt playing aggressive over in shops. He sniped away one drone and rotated. Great use of time and great use of destroying the attacker's utility. Hopefully they can continue in that mindset, and they will, as Salt's gonna find the opener round number 2. Bone was playing on an island and will be punished for it.
Yeah, you give a dog a bone, he's going to go to town on it, and that's exactly what Salt did. Completely unpunished on that frag. Cogent sniffing around bottom white for his tag from VIP entrance. A lot of hesitation being shown here by InControl. They have been very much punished in their recent attempts to try and contest the bomb site with just over half the round, or just under half the round now left to play. They've got some vertical control, but you see the middleman Salt is in fireplace. Drone's going in, going to spot him out. But even with that information, it's no guarantee they win the gunfight given how he has been playing. Yusuke, though, he's going to be there finds the kill. Actually brings it back to a 4-4. And from here, they need to get that vertical control and start the pressure on the bomb site. They could bring this one back, but do they expect Pixel? Can they win the gunfight against Pixel? That is the bigger question.
Well, the yellow pings are going to go out. They know Pixel's location. One of the members of InControl Nation will be sacrificed in that process. But now all offsite pressure for Synthetic has been dealt with. And this is going to leave a lot of time for InControl Nation to start to remove the ceiling. But has Synthetic actually wasted enough? When you see defenders with their backs against the wall, they just tend to not perform as well. And poor Pixel was found himself in that exact scenario. With 30 seconds left in the attack, though, the attackers need to start to find their avenues, prepare for the door frames, and start to work their way on through. Yusuke with control of Meat Locker, though. He's going to be the spearhead of the attack as he now confirms that the B bomb chassis has been fully relinquished. Everybody on the side of Synthetic's going to start to fall, leaving A-Man stuck in a 1v3. Nitro Cell in hand. He's going to pull the pin, but Yusuke is going to drop him in the process. It was looking bad for InControl Nation at the start of round number 2, but they're able to start to bring it back off the back of Yusuke.
Well, like I said, he's that unsung hero for this InControl master. When you need him most, he will show up. Unlike the Avatar, he's a bit better in that situation. He just somehow manages to find those big frags, even when he has absolutely no right to do so. And off the back of that, they weren't going to be going back down to Kitchen. It was rather handily dismantled at the end of the day. So we're going to see them head back up, head up to the third floor bomb site for the first time. They were there previously in round number 1, but that wasn't the bomb site. Look, Chief, in all honesty, coming into this, that first round, there's potential that it was a bit of a fluke. They just managed to catch InControl Nation off guard because round number 2 was a vastly different story.
Well, sure, InControl Nation won round number 2, but I was pretty impressed with how Synthetic played it. They wasted time, they killed a lot of drones, and the real mistake was Pixel's micro positioning over in Reading Room. He overstayed his welcome. As soon as Salt was killed on the white stairs, basically Pixel should have probably relegated himself to holding VIP or co-check, but instead he tried to play it very aggressively and kill that sledge. That would have been a big pick, but InControl Nation very rarely makes droning mistakes, and they're going to recheck positions they've already droned, and that's what catches Pixel off. And sure, he's able to get one of the frags, but when he's stuck in a 1v3 crossfire, all he can hope to accomplish is that one kill. And honestly, it's not going to translate to much at the end of the execution.
As we get into the main run of round number 3, a lot of spawns over this northern side. So we could potentially see a heavy amount of aggression going into the building. Yusuke, no surprise that he's going to be the one leading the charge, droning and trying to figure out what is the best avenue. And you look at just the setup coming in here. They don't want to be punished by the run out of Pixel again. That's exactly what happened in round number 1. They're trying to do everything they can to set up for this. But you look, they're all geared up, ready to go. 4 of the 5 members here for InControl Nation, all set up, ready to push in towards Pillar. Pixel might be able to find something from this angle, might be able to punish the rush in, sees the drones, sees the heavy drone pressure actually all coming up from brown stairs. He'll be spotted, so he'll have to relocate himself. But you look at that Yusuke, already inside the building, already in through reading, looking to pressure onto white stairs. This is InControl Nation coming into round number 3 with a big plan of action.
Now, InControl Nation may have banned Buck, but they're still trying to take control of Cocktail. Soon we're going to see the breaching launchers of Zofia and Ash start to go sky high, trying to remove Pixel from his spot. And the 360-degree crossfire has been established once again. And with Claymores being abundant right now, the aggressive plays from Synthetic won't be able to save them this time. So they're going to have to set up crossfires of their own and start to remove the components of INC in a methodical manner. But right now, Synthetic is playing very passive with Pixel on an island, explosives all around him. He needs to call for help ASAP.
Hazmat is going to be the first victim. Unfortunately, it's the smoke off the board for Synthetic, not an operator that you want to be losing, honestly, at all. As the floor will just start to be open in Cocktail. Pixel, can he find the angle? Yes, he can. Exile goes down. All his renovations, doesn't find much off the back of it. So they have lost a key player in the, multi-pronged attack that will be coming up from InControl. Salt, he's going to be tagged up, caught from the rappel from Kojin. Long angle, long punishment coming his way. So man count, it's still back in favor of InControl Nation as the time It's a little later in the round than what we have been seeing as of late in terms of how those attacks have been executed. A lot of positional advantage has been given over here, but Emin could find himself on a big flank, catching out Navozo. Would shut down that cigar shot. Push spray is good. Put down. Yusuke as well, tagged up heavy. They're trying to do what they can, but the stall is very much happening for Synthetic here with 22 seconds left. Yusuke trades with Aman. They're getting closer. They're getting tighter. There's not much time left for InControl Nation to make this happen.
It's gonna have to be a quick vault in through the windows. That makes a lot of noise. There's the first, but Pixel's unable to win the engagement as the bomb's gonna start to go on down. It's Null just left on A-Man with a Vector in hand. It does not have a lot of bullets, so he has to hit every single shot, make them count. He will be pulling the trigger, but unable to actually land any more than 2 bullets. Things were not looking good for INC, but suddenly they just spring into action. The Jack-in-a-Box has been triggered.
You don't take those one-on-one fights with Bone. You're not going to win them. The man has proved himself in countless one-on-one gunfights, and even then, he still had Cogent in support if he needed it. We're going to be heading back to Fireplace and Reading Chief. This is the last bomb site that we saw Synthetic able to pick up. They did it quite well, in all honesty. It was a one death round for them, in all honesty. They only lost Emin. But there's so much that is working in favor InControl. They're getting themselves in position time. They're covering their angles. We've seen the crossfires coming in hard and fast. So I'm not sure if this pulse pick is the play. In all honesty, we know the rappel game is very, very solid for InControl Nation. Even if you could find that information, there's no guarantee you can translate it into a kill. And at the moment, Hazmat, he's had a rather rough time being that SAS operator on the smoke, being the stall or the main stall for the team. That hasn't really translated into much of anything because InControl, they've been able to get so much important ground in Kafe in these rounds that it's like there's no resistance whatsoever.
So when an Anaconda starts to put you in the chokehold, you basically have one option. As soon as it starts to wrap its head around you, you have to get out of it. You have to push your way out. But as soon as its muscles start to lock down on you, you have no choice. You've already surrendered the round. When InControl Nation sets up their 360 crossfire, they are like the Anaconda. It forces Synthetic to react sooner rather than later, because if they're playing far too passively, INC has already done their damage and they're going to win the majority of their ones. Synthetic is an incredibly mechanical team. They tend to be over aggressive and under aggressive when they need to be. Basically, their aggression dial is never set at the right pace. It was perfect in round number 1, but in round number 4 or round number 3, we just never saw them getting aggressive when they needed to. That's going to be on Pixel to make that identification and call his troops into action.
Yeah, well, I think it's feeling more and more like a case of what I like to call the Goria effect, just because you've got that one phenomenal frag on the team, which is Pixel in this situation for Synthetic, doesn't mean he can do all, or he should do all the work in these situations. You need the rest of the team to step up and match the level of effort that he's bringing. But Salt bad, he's going to find Yusuke. The shield does go down, so he will be tagged off the back of that Goyo Vulcan. But that's a big frag to be finding. Yusuke, that's a lot of utility gone.
A nice movement has been established. With Yusuke off the board, those 3 breaching launchers will not be able to remove any more shields. Now, Salt lost a lot of HP in that exchange, but he's still upstairs, wasting as much time as possible. He has to be very careful of these window plays, though. This is INC's macro strategy. They are always going to be on these windows. So hopefully members of Synthetic can be very much aware of it. And this pulse from A-Man will be enough to deliver them to success, as he confirms the location of a member of INC with a nitrous cell and confirming the death.
Well, we've got Eamon, and I'm just waiting on Iman, Omen, and Uman as we get all the vowels involved here. But speaking of getting involved with just under a minute left to play, it's a 5v3! So it seems that this bomb site is the key to success here for Synthetic, with a lot of utility now gone. They don't have that vertical pressure. They don't have the roam denial of Navozo. Not to mention, A-Man is just consistently feeding with that cardiac sensor all the information they could possibly want into the positioning of the attackers. Salt, he's anchoring in by the bomb chassis and reading his Bone will be making his way, and that Banshee will give away the positioning, give away a huge amount of information. as he's trying to lock down the rotate. Smoke goes out. Exile brings down Salt in the end, playing the vertical angle. Impact to deal with the Banshee. So Bone could rush it into the bomb site if he wants, but it's Cogent with the diffuser in hand. They're both playing in pillars so they can make it work, but Exile, he gets himself another. It's a frag grenade onto Hazmat. He's looking for yet another. Can he make it work? No, can't find it as the plant goes down. Bone watching to cross. Exile for a third. He's just finding everything he could possibly want here. What looked like it was going to be a very, very solid defense from Synthetic has been dismantled by the one sledge. Eamon drops down. He's refragged. It's Bone to clutch up for two. Eamon and Eamon hit the ground and InControl Nation third in a row.
I was already prepared to say INC made a far too many mistakes on their entry, but just like their old homeland roster, when their strategy completely fails, they just win gunfights. They are also a mechanically gifted team. We're saying that Synthetic is just gifted in their mouse hand, so is InControl Nation. And one asset that INC actually has is the fact that they can rely on their mechanical skill when their strategy falls. Far too many T3 teams utilizes mechanics first, macro strategy second. InControl Nation is not that team, but when they need to click heads, their guns go burr and they hit hard.
Not to mention, I mean, it was Bone, the player who was holding the cross angle. There was no contest. I mean, I think Synthetic are just lucky that he wasn't playing Carly, because at least then they have time between the bullet cycling. On Zofia, though, no contest, no competition. And Exile, the vertical play coming in from above, found 3 frags completely unanswered there to bring it back and give the man advantage back to the favor of InControl Nation. Third floor coming out yet again here in the second to last round of the half. Synthetic, they need to make some changes, Chief. They need to make some big adaptations here if they want to be able to get themselves that tie that we were talking about coming into this. We were holding out hope that Synthetic might have come in with a bit of a game plan. They've just been found wanting it every single turn by this InControl Nation roster. Pixel, as much as he has been a stand-up fragger, hasn't really achieved much since, you know, round number 2. He's largely been shut down, been very, very quiet, going for a bit of a spray onto the drone. Could have done some big work there from VIP or Whiskey. But no, unfortunately, didn't have the wherewithal to spray through the window. Heads himself back upstairs, and you look at this InControl Nation, very aggressive, very, very consistent in how they approach the external of this building.
Now, I know at the start of the series, we were talking about Synthetic and their boot camp, and they have been doing a wonderful job over there, but they're not playing with their true 5-man stack. The A-man in the lobby is Breeze, who's coming over on loan just to fill in for Crafty, who's very under the weather. So your primary IGL, your main shot caller, and the gentleman that basically calls your macro strategies as well as your rotations is unable to be a factor. He is also the person who keeps Synthetic level-headed. If people start to get out of a line, it's Crafty who speaks up first, and that's actually what's concerning me about the Synthetic roster right now. Sometimes they get into their own head, they start to make mistakes, and they're unable to shake that mental loss. And well, with Crafty not in the field, that's just an area that I think Synthetic is lacking in.
Yeah, having that distinct lack of direction, or at least the grounder in terms of the mental side of things, is going to be pretty significant. Trying to get themselves out of their own head is such an important factor when it comes to an IGL. Emmett with the Nitro Cell out the White Stairs window, but it's Salt bad to find Cogent early. That's the diffuser and the hard breach now down. Even Cogent has to pay respect to the shot that just happened there. They're locking out top red if they can. Pixel there in support if they need it. The Vozo, we haven't really talked about him too much. Yet to find a frag in the round. Has been one of those players that steps up from time to time with InControl Nation. He's not the most consistent player, but every now and then has one of those big standout performances. So just because he's being quiet here in Kafe doesn't mean that it's going to be the same result on club. Could be that standout show that we want from him. But again, InControl Nation, they definitely taking a little bit longer round after round to get themselves in towards the bomb side. Hard breach early means they've got to force the way through the normal avenue.
Now, Nevo tends to be on the flank watch role, so he's never really getting these big flashy plays unless members of the defending roster is pushing into him. And right now, the way INC has been playing this 360 crossfire, but yet very aggressive. He hasn't yet found his impact, but he could here in round number 5 if they're checking their corners. But it's a multi-angle crossfire from Synthetic this time as they bring their own reverse Uno card, and INC is not looking that great right now. Novozo's gonna be looking the wrong direction as he's felled, but Exile's putting the bomb down. We're gonna have a post plant 4v2 as Exile's gun starts to go burr. He's looking for more, but it's now Bone just stuck in the 1v2, finding the impact frags. He flicks to the 180. He's just better. He wins his gunfight. Bone is on a tear. A huge mistake by Synthetic makes them lose their round. Somehow they're able to win it in miraculous fashion.
3 rounds in a row. 3 rounds in a row. Bone has been the clutch factor for this InControl Nation roster. Whatever his salary is, double it. The man deserves it. He is putting on a clinic on how to clutch up in Rainbow Six Siege, playing that big Zofia second entry role. And yeah, definitely chuck him a follow. The man deserves it. He's putting in the hard yards here today. And as we head down to Kitchen, the final bomb site of the half, you've got to ask the big question. What does Synthetic need to do to stop this from repeating itself again?
They need to synchronize their defense. When the bomb goes down, they have a good understanding of where it is. And since Crafty is in the lobby, your secondary IGL Pixel has to be the person with the voice to say, we are pushing here and now. We're pushing 3, 2, 1, execute. And if you don't have that level of synergy and synchronization, you're going to have individuals of your defensive team peaking off sync. And well, Bone is going to be able to flick back and forth. But if you peak together, it doesn't matter how good of a player you are, you're not going to have enough mouse pad and reaction time to deal from the 2-front assault. But when you do what you did last round, he's going to be able to 360 around and around and around and slam anything onto the receiving end of his gun barrel.
Well, Pixel, he goes for a bit of a change here. He's going to bring the Vigil, a bit of a deep roam upstairs. The question is this going to be the change that finally gets him some frags? He's still sitting at 5-0-4, a change that has not come since round number 2. So hopefully this deep roam could find some real impact, make some big things happen. Deviating from the Jaeger, though, that's the big question. Means those frag grenades are going to be that much more impactful. The smokes will land exactly where you want them to once they finally get down to the bomb site. So Pixel's going to have to do some big intercepting on that journey down to that first floor bomb site. Question is, can he achieve that? He really just hasn't found much in the last few rounds. It's all been on the back of Salt or Emin, who really has stepped up in some of these key situations. Hazmat, unfortunately, is going to be carrying on the trend of the red stats at the moment. 0-4, sitting on a big bagel. Hopefully he can try and get himself back into it on the attack. But at the moment, with 2 minutes left to play, pressure already clearing out that top floor. They're going to start working their way down. Pixel, the last line of defense, is going to use that ERC to try and trick out the drones, try and get a big flank play here. But he's running out of time. He's got to shoot the drone. Impacts down into the laundry. Yeah, he's gone for the safe play and decided better of it.
A great use of the staged roam, though. He wasted about 10 seconds plus a drone doing absolutely nothing. So a great play nonetheless, but his micro positioning now might catch him off guard as he's over in the dining room. He can be set up by a nice 180-degree crossfire, but Nevo might make a mistake here. He is now on his drone, and this has allowed Pixel to move into train. So they're going to have to go toe-to-toe. It's going to be a gunfight. Pixel has a very hot hand right now, and it might be a free kill. Missed shots between both individuals. Pixel's going to be the loser of that exchange as more of HP is going to be ripped away from his body. Novozo's going to find his first frag in round 6, but nonetheless, that is going to be the top 4 now cleared for INC.
Actually, it was his second frag. He got one in the last round, but quick frags going both ways. In fact, he's going to double up in this round. Novozo gets 2 before being dropped by Eamon. But the damage, again, has largely been done. It's a 3 versus 2 at the moment. Bone still on the board. They've got to work their way down into the bomb site. Having no hard breach means they're just going to have to go the conventional route, push in through the doorway, which is where Eamon is watching, waiting. And honestly, I think this is probably the longest we've seen Hazmat survive in a round, if I'm being perfectly honest, at the moment. 3 players all stacked up in Whiskey, ready to go for the rush. Use in the the bullets of Ammon's Org A3, so they know exactly where he is. They're going for a different route. They're going to run straight down to Small Bakery, run into Hazmat if they can. Toxic Canister's out. They've got to force something. With 6 seconds left on the clock, it might just be a service push. Hazmat might finally get himself a kill on the board. Proding in, he does. He's got Bone. He's got Exile. 2 kills in the round for Hazmat, and he survives the entire thing.
That was quite a rough showing for Synthetic, but they brought it in round number 1. They brought it in round number 6. 4-2 splits tend to be very common on this map, but not for the attackers with their 4-round wins and 4 rounds in a row. Now, InControl Nation has one of the most impressive series I've ever casted in my life. That was back in Season 3 of SCL, and it was here on Kafe. They banned Kafe in every single match, both in regular season and in postseason, up until their grand finals, a best of 5 against Unreal Nightmare. They ended up bringing out Kafe, a map that they were saving, and they 7-0'd Unreal Nightmare. Now, INC did lose that series in the end, but this just shows that they are capable of playing this map. Dash has an impeccable understanding of this map, and sure, that old INC roster has changed a little bit. There are new faces, and actually there's some members of that old Unreal Nightmare roster now on InControl Nation that were playing in that grand final all those years ago or those months ago. But InControl Nation is a monster on Kafe. They proved it back in the day, and they are proving it once again.
Well, I mean, in 2020, it does feel like years, in all honesty. It's crazy to think that, you know, I only started casting Siege, 8 months ago.
Me too.
It's been an interesting journey for the both of us, Chiefs. And coming into this, coming into the second half of SCS, there has been just these standout performances, and InControl Nation has been one of those teams to provide it. Third floor coming out here for the defense. They're doubling down on the SAS operators. Uscape playing on the mute. It's another operator that he will absolutely shine with. That SMG-11 is a real powerhouse gun when he has it in hand. You look at the tools available, you look at what they're bringing. Bone on the Jaeger now is going to be hunting down eggs if he can find them. You look at the defense, you look at the commitment to this third floor bomb site. There's no deep roam down in the basement. They're not going to be playing nitros from below. They're all here waiting for Synthetic to come to them, and we know there's gunfights when they need to.
And sure, we're no longer in utility consumption simulator, but InControl Nation is still going to be bringing out a strategy that is very similar to that. Now, flashbangs have, well, been the same, but how they interact with the ADSs is different. ADSs only now have 1 charge that will reset a few seconds down the road, but destroying this pixel shield will happen more or less for free if the utility of Synthetic actually finds their target. Some missed breaching launcher is going to cost them severely, though, as somehow Salt was unable to find the deployable shield, which means when Synthetic goes for execute down the road, they won't be able to remove key apex positions all the way back to the east.
They did a bit of damage, largely unofficial, but not largely inconceivable at the moment. But they get themselves into cocktail. Oh my lord, my brain has just stopped working. They're getting themselves into piano. They're pushing in over towards my corridor here at the moment. If they can clear out some of those angles, they could potentially set themselves up for a plant here. But Cogent, he's going to be the one waiting from Washroom, has that shotgun. Now we can put it to work. You see that long angle that has been opened up into bar itself from this pixel angle so they can contest. They've been pushed out of it for the moment, so it won't be the main play for InControl Nation. They've also got backstock opened up as well, all the way into Cocktail. But with a minute left, no real significant damage has been done. They haven't got themselves a guaranteed position to plant from. InControl Nation, they are keeping their cool here, and Exile opens up. Emin goes down. It's a lot of utility now off the board. No frag grenades to try and flush out those cocktail positions. The older 5.56, we know just how impactful it can be. Is he going to find another one? Yes, he does. Through the bar. He's going to find third. Is he? Exile, the one-man army, is going to be helped out by Navozo. So not quite the island that he was. But all of a sudden, with one player going down, Synthetic just are washed away.
And that's the problem when you're Synthetic. They set up a very linear execute. They had no crossfires, and they're all basically looking in the exact same direction. And people say the Alda is overpowered. And sure, 82 bullets going burr can be quite terrifying. But when you're dry peeking through a fatal funnel, it really doesn't matter what gun you have. If you're hitting your shots, you're going to fell everybody on the receiving end of that. It seemed like Pixel called the execute. They said, basically, we haven't accomplished much. Let's just start to push on through and see if we can win their ones. But since they never actually removed any of those apex positions, everybody on, well, INC basically just laughed their way to the bank as they hauled away Synthetic's body bags.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Yeah, unfortunately, it just there was no answer. Exile found 3 huge frags. The Bozo found 2. They finally got Exile down in the end, but the fact that he'd taken down dealt 370 points of health damage by the end of it was just phenomenal work there so far. And you see the last minute 6-pick, A-Man Breezy is going to be bringing out the Lion here, and you've got to wonder, is that the play? There was no real offsite presence on that 3rd floor hold. There will be upstairs for Yusuke here at the moment, but he might even just, deal with some of the hatches, delay some of that press of the push from upstairs, as they are trying to go for that vertical hold with the help of the castle barricades as well. It feels very much like a situation where you're trying to fix a broken leg with a band-aid. The line is not going to offer a huge amount in the grand scheme of things.
Man, this strategy just screams Dash Rodent. This is the most dashy strategy I've ever seen. He's basically created a macro strategy where you hold the entire darn map of Kafe. They're going to be holding upstairs on the 3rd floor, the 2nd floor, as well as where the bomb site is on the 1st floor. This is designed to waste nothing but time and utility. You add a clash in play, and basically good luck taking map control. Synthetic is going to have to basically actively participate in every single one of their mini games. They have to determine which mini game they want to deal with first, create their macro strategy on the fly, and actively execute. Right now, it looks like Pixel wants to call his troops into dealing with the Clash, but Clash has a lot of support right now, given the fact that Red Stairs is hotly contested. So Synthetic has already made a bad decision on their mini game strategy.
Yeah, the UMP-45, often touted as the worst gun in the game. There's a decent chunk of damage to Hazmat, who really couldn't quite clap back the way he needed to. They're going to be pushing down White now. So they've gone the other side, trying to make things happen. Salt is in Pillar, so at least in the area to try and effect some real change, get themselves some long angles established. But you know, if InControl have anything to say about it, it's going to be a quiet night for them as they look to close out their Series 7-2. Well, this map 7-2, sorry, but the Clash on the board, it's just BM at the moment. They could get into the bomb site, yes, but realistically, with that big CCS shield, you're going to be slow going if you do even manage to get in the vicinity. Pixel, he's going to be leading the charge, still stuck on 5 frags, and will be for the rest of this round as K finds the kill from behind with the Vigil. Pixel is just not having the showing that I think Synthetic were hoping for.
Now, I just want to put a little bit of asterisk into the universe. Kojin is a Clash main. He tends to play Clash on just about every map if he's feeling comfortable, particularly Oregon, which is InControl Nation's best map. Now, obviously, we aren't on Oregon, we are on Kafe, but nonetheless, he is still trying to bring in his Clash oppressiveness. Now, Yusuke was put over in VIP. That was his hill to die on, and unfortunately, he will die there, but he's wasted a lot of time, and it's going to force Synthetic to start to push towards their bomb site. They're going to have to deal with Kochek as well as the on-site pressure. Kochek has now been removed, which means they're going to have to start to go for the fatal funnel. Clashes in play, tasing everybody from Synthetic, and it's going to force the bomb to go down, but the bulldoze into the bomb site, and Synthetic is able to just win every single gunfight they find themselves into. The mechanical skill wins them the round, and Synthetic is still in this series.
Look, I could make a joke here at the expense of my American friends.
Oh,
they went for the American military approach, superiority through numbers. just overwhelmed the defense there towards the end. And hey, look, it worked for them in that situation. But it's probably not one that might work again as we head to Reading Room Fireplace here. A rather unfortunate round in the grand scheme of things, I think, for InControl Nation. By all rights, it should have been theirs. There were just a couple of key things that, didn't go the way that they would have hoped. The new patch has had some minor issues with peaking and all the rest of it, being killed by people who aren't even on your screen. I think that potentially was what happened with Exile and Kochek. I don't think he quite saw the gunfight that was happening in front of him, and as a result, Synthetic did find that angle. They were able to then pressure onto the bomb site, but this round, I think they're going to play it smart. They're going to keep their cool and go for that vertical hold once again, and I'd be surprised if we didn't see this round result in match point.
And also, round number 8 was one of the few rounds where you see the attackers win without a true dedicated hard breach, because they 6-picked into that Lion. Now, sure, he does have a pocket hard breach, and he can open up a single wall, but he's not a true hard breacher, and that worked out well for Synthetic because individuals of INC were playing on islands. You basically make a Lion call, and if you get the red pings, that means somebody from INC rotated, and if you don't get any pings, that is still providing you information, because that means the member of INC that you just droned out is still in that position. You set up your crossfire and you go for the execute. Lion was a wonderful adaptation. I know we were critical of it before, but the way that Synthetic was playing round number 8, it was a perfect asset. Now, will they be able to translate that into round number 9, a completely different bomb site that is yet to be seen?
I mean, I don't know quite how impactful the EE1D was. At the end of the day, I think the most impact he really had was that hard breach to get them into freezer down in the kitchen. But hey, look, it won them the round. That's the only thing that really matters at the end of the day. Heading to round number 9. Look at that. Exile, 10 frags under the belt, has really just been stepping up exactly when his team needed them to. You look at the kills across the board. The entirety of InControl Nation have been chipping at all. Pixel with a long-range angle from Museum entrance. Can't find the frag, unfortunately. Again, still shut down for the most part. Coming into, everything after round number 3 at the moment. They've got the positional advantage, though. Synthetic here could look to make a big push onto the bomb site and completely disregard the verticality of it all. But in saying that, you've still got some very, very solid fraggers they need to contest up against.
We're going to have to see how those fraggers actually participate with one another. Round number 8 was the first time that we've really seen Synthetic actually play as a cohesive unit. Pretty much throughout map number 1, though, it's just been members of Synthetic just basically playing as individuals. And sure, they have good mechanical skill, but if you want to be successful at any level of Rainbow Six Siege, you have to play as a team. This is a team-based shooter. Now, with Novozo pushing up to red, he has to be very careful. He might not be prepared for the window play and that top hatch play of Amen. The bomb has been put on the deck, or at least attempted to be so, but that was Hazmat that was felled, and this is going to alert everybody that InControl Nation that it's going to be a push through the dining room site. The ult is going to be enough to actually stop that, but all of a sudden, Synthetic just pounces. They set up everything they needed to, and now it's just Bone stuck in a clutch situation. He has been here before. He's been able to win the rounds before, but unable to do so. Twisting in the wind. Felled. Synthetic is now back in this series.
Look, I don't want to call it as, Synthetic have just completely dropped all pretenses and gone on a fragging spree here, because it feels like they're less focusing on strategy and that side of things and just going and absolutely fragging out of their minds and skill. But whatever it is, Synthetic, they're getting themselves some rounds on the board. They're 1 away from it up and 2 away from pushing it to OT, or at least getting themselves at minimum 1 point on the board as they push it towards OT and potentially even just denying the series away. We're going to be heading back up to 3rd floor, Chief, and this is not quite what we expected coming into this. We thought potentially once the defense was picked up by InControl Nation, they were just going to slowly work to finish off this map. But Synthetic on the attack, something is clicking, something is working. They don't even need a line seems to be the ticket.
Maybe this is just an attacker-sided Kafe. I mean, it isn't unheard of. It's not likely, but it just seems like the attackers are winning the majority of their rounds. They're winning the majority of their gunfights. And maybe this is also a byproduct of the current meta we're in. Utility Consumption Simulator basically made most maps extremely defender-sided because they're designed to waste time and force the attackers to do their 20 executes with the majority of their lobbies still alive. Now with the new meta, this actually might allow attackers a lot more freedom to create strategies on the fly and take gunfights with defenders. And we are going against a team like Synthetic. They basically want to take gunfights with you. So maybe this new meta is going to be Synthetic's time to shine.
Well, maybe it is, maybe it's not. We'll have to see. They're not quite over the finish line yet. There's, unfortunately, 5 things standing in their way, and they're all members of the InControl roster here, as they are going to be trying to push back and deny the return to power here for Synthetic. All up on the roof, at least the 4 of the 5 on the roof as they start the droning, start the vertical pressure, start to get themselves inside the building. Cogent will most likely be the first point of resistance, playing that pixel angle on the smoke. Last time round, Chief, we saw it took them a little bit to try and deal with that shield. They started a little bit. Salt had to commit 2 breaching rounds as he missed the initial one. Hopefully, they can make it work this time without going for that. As Salt, in fact, is going for a completely different approach. Might even push himself into white stairs here. Looking for the angle, looking for Bone, who is in the vicinity there. Might be able to get a frag in response. But yeah, there we go. This time round, it's going to be Pixel to deal with the shield in the end. So they get it first time round. Going to open up the wall into Bar as well. So this time, a lot more efficiency in terms of the utility.
Actually, Synthetic has done a lot to find themselves in a great position to go for the execute. Now they just start to need to move InControl Nation to basically positions where INC has no other option other than getting aggressive. And well, like we've been saying throughout this series, Synthetic can do that by just winning gunfights. Also, something that Synthetic is currently doing is they're trying to channel in their inner INC, utilizing that exact same Boa Constrictor style strategy, setting up a 360 crossfire, winning gunfights, and just, well, bullying the absolute crap out of the defense.
Well, that's exactly it. They're somehow making it work. Your drone economy is suffering at the moment. They're down to the remaining 4. But it does not seem to be a heavy priority here for the Synthetic roster. E1D does go out trying to catch anyone in the wrong place at the wrong time. Got control of Piano. They've got control to push in towards the bomb site because they are just dealing with all that utility. They now have the opportunity to back stock open as well. Navozo pushing up. He finds the first one. That's Eamon going down. He's going to get refragged out, unfortunately, by Salt in the end. But that could be the start of the comeback here for InControl Nation. They are down a man, but with time on their side, they might be able to make it work. Hazmat straight into the gunfire of Pixel being tagged up in the back. You've got to watch your angles. You've got to watch your crossfires. You cannot fall prey to a punishment like that. Eamon, though, through the smoke into backstop, finds Bone. All of a sudden, it's down to a 2 versus 4. Exile, can he do anything with that big older pushing it aggressively? He's got to go for the swing, find the kill. He does. That's Pixel going down. Saltbad will find him in response, but it's Kojin with the SMG-11 to down Hazmat. Now, he's got to find 2 more. Sees where the plant has gone down. They all off the bomb site. Sees the player. He's going to get the kill onto Hazmat in the end. So incredibly low right now on Bar itself. He's going to rotate into Cocktail and back jump outside. No, he's up on the bar, in fact, looking for the long angle. Is he going to see the angle? No, he's too busy focusing on backstock. And Chief, it's a 1v1 with 20 seconds left.
But there's a player rotating up to Skylight. Kojin can start to go for the defuse. There might be no answer for Synthetic. Kojin just has to stick it. Salt has to be in a perfect position to get this kill. Kojin has wasted far too much time, sadly, though. This is going to be a free round win for Synthetic, as it's just going to be a free kill for Salt. And it looks like the kill box strategy that the attackers are constantly utilizing is the answer to winning rounds. It was basically INC up 4 or 5-2 into round 7, but we are all tied up 5-5. We are guaranteed to see round 12, and one of these 2 teams will find themselves on match point. Too many people cut Synthetic out. Even if Synthetic loses map number 1, they put up quite a performance.
Well, they are. They're the ones trying to claw this one back from defeat here at the moment. And they might just do it here. It's back to 5-5. 2 more rounds for them. They will steal away Kafe. Not quite the same fashion they took it away from Pride. It was 7-2 against Pride. But hey, 7-5 is still a win at the end of the day. Plus, your opponents don't get any points off the back of it. So, I think Synthetic will be quite happy with that. You look at Salt at the moment, leading the charge. 12, 1, and 7 at the moment. Has been fragging phenomenally. So had the two-man Emin and Eamon. Breezy, as he's better known, as have been contributing, coming onto this attacking half. They are going absolutely ballistic here. They are finding every single step they need to push themselves in, get themselves that win. And at this point, whoever gets map point first, honestly, I believe could be the ones to push it over the edge. If Synthetic somehow pick up this round, I am starting to believe that they could probably close this map out.
Now, Eamon has struggled throughout the first 7 weeks with opening deaths. He is currently 9 and 23 on those OKs. But in this series, at the start, he had a few opening deaths, but now he is not dying first, and sometimes he's actually the one delivering that opening kill and punishing somebody on InControl Nation. So maybe when we see Eamon actually starting to survive and have lasting impacts in these rounds, those are the rounds that Synthetic wins. And it makes sense. Eamon pretty much exclusively plays that flex role, and he's usually exclusively on that sledge, wielding that sledgehammer constantly. And on a map like Kafe, if your sledge falls early, good luck removing the ceiling above the defenders. And for the most part, Synthetic has been running exclusively Claymores on Ashe and Zofia, and finally they actually make that adaptation where Pixel now has breaching charges.
Well, I mean, the question is it going to be enough to get themselves to 6 rounds on the board? That is the real question at the moment. A lot of tension here, a lot up in the air, a lot that could go horrifically wrong for either team. Exile, he's on the 2nd floor. He's going to drop down with Bone. You see that the hatch is being left unreinforced. And that could be the easy avenue for Synthetic to get themselves into this 1st floor bombs. Again, the spread coming out of them, they're not all grouped up. They're not going to be punished that way with a nitro cell or something. They're looking for their ones. They're looking for their gunfights, as they are starting to group up and starting to apply some of that pressure here at the moment. Eamon will be opening up the floor and mining and train. And from there, they can start to flush out some of those defensive positions. But there's still so much that could go horribly wrong for them.
I'm concerned that InControl Nation rotated a little bit too quickly. As soon as the piano hatch was opened up, they basically just retreated. I would have loved to see INC snipe away 1 or 2 drones before dropping downstairs into meat lockers. And looking at the side of Synthetic and all the utility they still have, particularly their drone economy, only 10% of it has been shot away. This means Synthetic is going to find themselves in a phenomenal position when they start to push for the bomb site, because they can actively drone Yusuke, gathering free information, and basically punish him for staying in a position. Now, that requires you to win your 1v1s, and unfortunate Salt is going to be unable to do so, which means Yusuke can still be a fly on the wall, just basically stuck here for as long as possible, trying to find the frags. He is going to overstay his welcome, though, over swinging and now punishing himself. Synthetic's going to have to do what they do best, winning gunfights. Here comes the hot drop, but members of Synthetic is just falling one by one, shotgun in hand, but he doesn't even need to pull the trigger as INC wins the round purely off time.
Yeah, I think I sense a bit of hesitation there from Synthetic. They themselves to go for that, same approach that they had in previous rounds. Not to mention the fact that it very much felt like InControl Nation had their number in that round. They were anticipating that same approach to the bomb site. They were anticipating that headlong rush coming into the dying moments of the round. Yusuke playing code check wasn't dealt with whatsoever. He found an initial frag, one of the key ones as well on Salt. From there, it just got worse and worse. They played the clock precisely as they needed to. And yeah, first round the key round after the tie goes the way of InControl Nation. Going into the next one, the final round of regulation time here. Chief, are we going to see OT? That is the question. I did say at the very start, if Synthetic can take InControl Nation to overtime, that would be a big win for them on the board. At least it guarantees them some points. And it's also dealing a pretty hefty blow to a team who realistically shouldn't be being taken to overtime.
one of the most important things that InControl Nation had in their back pocket the last time we were at FAR were those Maestro Evil Eyes. They're providing so much free information, and Synthetic never dealt with them until the dying seconds of the round. Now, Maestro was 6-picked into a Valkyrie because INC basically wants to double down on their information game. They're going to be trying to bury these Valkyrie cameras so they can have 360 coverage of information and actively deny any access to the west side of the map that Synthetic is going to attempt to grab. And also, we are going to see 3 Nitro cells in the back pocket of InControl Nation, which just screams that they're going to be downstairs over in that train room. Now, I call it Nitro Cell Bonanza, but you call it Call Summoner from Hell. But nonetheless, the whole strategy from INC is to get as many kills as possible with those explosive devices.
Look at that Exile. He's prepped and ready with a Nitro Cell below the hatch. And he went for the throw. Oh, big damage. He goes for the hatch, in fact. Goes for a bit of a fake. Finds some big damage onto Emin early. And your Sledge in such a tenuous position, he's not going to be having the greatest of times in all honesty. Won't be able to achieve nearly as much as he's probably going to like. Those frag grenades could still do some work, but gunfights are not going to be something that goes his way, especially when Navozo's on the... Guns him down from through that white corridor window. No Sledge, no frag grenades, no L8 coming into play here. No SMG-11 either coming in. Play, and Emin potentially going to finish this map 9-2-9 if InControl Nation can close it out. But you can see Synthetic, the hesitation is there. They're not quite sure about how to get themselves into position. Having lost the first player with so much time left on the board, there's a lot of questions now left unanswered.
And it looks like Synthetic is just playing not to lose. They're not playing to win right now. They're far too slow. They're not running through their crossfires, and they're not running through their checklists as of yet. Now, I do say that, and Kojin has been down. He is in a position to be brought up, but he is an incredibly important operator since he still has 3 smoke grenades in his back pocket. That's going to be 30 seconds of time wasted, and as we get closer and closer to Doomsday with 70 seconds left on the clock, those toxic babes are going to become even more important. And also remember, Eamon has the worst opening kill rating. He tends to be the opening death far too often. Again, 9-23 at the start of this series, and he's the first casualty in what might be the most important round of map 1.
That's exactly it. And from here, they're going to start to push the toxic canisters and play Exile. He finds the drop onto Pixel. A bit of confusion. He gets one more, but done over the top of the banister as he continues that march on up wide stairs. He's pushing through the toxic canister, taking big damage here at the moment. Bonus prone waiting. Escape finds Eamon. It's all down to Hazmat. What can he do? He's a 4 with less than a quarter health. He's going to have to go big here, but by all rights, this is probably map 1 done with 16 seconds left. And yeah, Hazmat, he's just going to play the KD game. He's going to keep his stats healthy. Hey, look, at the moment, that's the best you can hope for. Time ticking away. Honestly, we could probably even just send it straight to Cams. I don't think he's going down here. 1 second left on the clock, and it will be InControl Nation. King at Kafe 7-5. But Chief, they were pushed to the verge there by Synthetic.
Oh, I can't get over, please boost my rating. And I think it was Neva, our coach, that basically said, that's too hard to do, mate. Oh my god, the BM. Now, I have to say, everybody in this lobby is friends. Actually, Hazmat has teamed on INC before, so he knows the roster very well. So I know it looks like it's some toxicity, some BM going in the lobby. I can promise you this. All these players play ranked together. They're friends with each other. You know, they're just having fun in that game. And you're right. I mean, Hazmat would have been nice to see him clutch ace, but it just never happened. Synthetic were playing round number 12 far too passively. Honestly, I was incredibly impressed with how Synthetic was attacking because they had, for one of the first live matches we've seen, a perfect amount of controlled aggression. They won their gunfights. They did everything right. But round 12 was just honestly slow.
Yeah, like I said, you could sense the hesitation coming out of the Synthetic roster. They weren't keen on forcing it again. They knew just how much was on the line. But we do have some analysts who will go a little bit more in depth on... Oh, no, we don't. We don't have analysts? No. Oh, that's unfortunate. It's just going to be you and me, Chief.
But we will be going over to a break since our voices need it as well as our players. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 10 minutes or so. So again, don't go anywhere.
welcome back, everyone. We're coming to the second map of our first series for the day. InControl Nation versus Synthetic and Chief. We saw Synthetic almost having, that dream comeback run. They brought it back to 5-5. And then InControl Nation applied the chokehold and kept squeezing.
Honestly, though, that was a brilliant and phenomenal showing by Synthetic. And well, Synthetic is going to be going over to their map pick and arguably their best map. I don't think Synthetic has ever lost Clubhouse since Erebus has been brought on as their analyst. So InControl Nation definitely needs to be a little bit terrified because map number 1, a little bit too close for comfort. Honestly, a lot of rounds just went INC's way because Bone is just a better player. He's a GOAT. He kills. Honestly, that's not a consistent strategy. INC cannot rely on Bone just winning ones.
It wasn't just ones, though. It was 1s, 2s, 3s. I think there was also a 4K in there at one point as well. The man is just absolutely wilding out. 3 rounds in a row, 3 back-to-back-to-back clutches in key rounds on the attack. So, yeah, I think Synthetic, they're going to be kicking themselves a little bit that he was allowed to get away with it in the way that he did.
Yeah.
Going into Clubhouse, though, the most success we saw out of Synthetic was on the attack. That is where they're going to be starting off. It's also Clubhouse, so you've got to imagine they've been doing their homework, doing VOD work. Like you said, it's a map that Synthetic are very, very capable on. Bans, though, are going to decide a little bit of the momentum. Thatcher, again, no surprises. I wouldn't be... At this time round, I think my calls might be correct in the Thatcher, Ace, Mira, and Cade.
Now, actually watching some of the scrim reports from different teams throughout this league, as well as in participating elsewhere, I would actually start to allow Thatcher on through and rather ban out Habana. Now, there goes Habana. So basically, Thatcher and Maverick can basically fill the same roles. Thatcher is a hard breach facilitator, and Maverick can be a hard breacher as well as a hard breach facilitator because he can just cut open a small wall in the hole or the hard breached wall, send a frag grenade down range, or actively trick the wall. But nonetheless, Maverick will be available, and Cade still banned. Obviously, neither one of these rosters wants to deal with invulnerable Cayennes. That makes sense. The Thatcher is well banned.
Yeah, I mean, Habana was probably the other one. With the changes that have been made in the new season, just the versatility that she now offers is absolutely insane. Where might, again, going to be prioritized here by InControl. So Mira is currently available in the operator pool. Where might, again, they're obviously not too keen on allowing that utility sync to be in play, even in its weakened form. Round number 1, with a Mira available, InControl Nation. And they had the option to ban it. Obviously, they let it through for a reason. We're probably going to see them bring it out.
Oh, look what we're going to see, though. We're talking about bringing out unique operators. I see a Twitch in play. Now, Pixel has been playing a lot of Twitch in rank matches, and, well, she has found herself back in the meta simply because she has flashbang. She can participate in what is now kind of utility consumption simulator, but not really. But if you need ADSs gone, she can be there. If you need to flash dump somebody, she can be there. Also, she can remove utility. More importantly, if their ADS is around, she just drives her little drone on through. Zap, zap, zap. Evil eyes are gone. Cameras are gone. She can be a phenomenally useful operator.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it plays around Newscape with that new jammer, which I have no doubt will be at least one of them positioned at the end of Dirt. Realistically, there should be some angle that you can find to make it work. But as we head into this, Maverick still being available means they're going to be able to get at least 1, if not 2, avenues into the biome site guaranteed here with those hatches and with Dirt Tunnel as well. Clubhouse is a map where you've got to go for those 2-pronged assaults. You can't just funnel in all in the same direction. You got to be coming from a couple of different directions to make those executes work at the end of the day. And interesting, we saw Exile. He went for the 6-pick off the Maestro onto the Valkyrie. So they're pretty prioritizing a little bit more of the extended information game, and you look at that XLE's position in Kitchen at the moment. Might look for a run out from Freeze, but Hazmat very much aware that that could have been a possibility. He's looking over towards Stock, so could have been punished there, but no. At the moment, I think XLE's just setting himself up for that information game once that execute does come in.
And Wamai, I love this Wamai ban. It seems like InControl Nation always wants to basically say, I want to have as much projectiles free for my execute as possible. And something that we missed about having Maverick in play, this can allow a lot more fluidity for the attacking lineups to take control of dirt. Usually you just send your hard breacher and waste one of your Selma charges or one of your thermites or Cairo pellets, and that can really hurt taking control of hatches. But now with Maverick in play, as well as that recent buff, he can open up a lot more hatches, as well as the soft wall or the hard wall downstairs in Dirt Tunnel. Now, Kojin is going to be forced to hold this as long as possible. He has the right utility at hand, 3 toxic babes, and a shotgun that goes well for.
Oh, no, it doesn't go Burr. It goes Kathunk right into the chest if dumb enough to walk into it. And with those toxic canisters, Devozo with the nitro cell deals with Eamon, the buck from above. So the vertical control largely lost for the most part here. They are going to struggle to keep some of those vertical angles and try and get that hatch open. But Saltbed, you know what he says, I don't gun that you have, you're going to get stuck by AKs and get gunned down. So back to a 4-4 at the moment. Devozo is contesting onto dirt at the moment. Could do some really big damage here. If he finds the lineup with that MP5, you can feel the hesitation yet again from Synthetic. They pull back off the angle. Eamon was trying to open that hatch and got punished. Was shot in the ankles, and with a minute left to play, the health is looking a bit dire, in all honesty, here for Synthetic.
The thing is, though, they might have actually accomplished a lot more than we can see. This seems to be a very common execute. It is the European French-style way of taking the basement. Now, it requires you to have the man advantage and punish the defenders. So right now, the strategy that Synthetic was trying to incorporate and utilize is starting to slip away through their fingertips, as it's now just a 4v2. Make that a 2v1, as it's going to be Hazmat. The only one left is actually, I lied, it's 1v3. Sometimes numbers are hard. The finance major obviously doesn't know the difference between a 1 and a 2, but the bomb is going to go down the ground, and it seems like no members of INC has an answer back with a nice long angle from above. It's going to be Exile punishing Haz. A phenomenal attempt for Synthetic. They had all the right pieces, but things just didn't go their way.
Yeah, Exile went big. I believe we're going to have some Russian casting coming in. That's what we've been told by production. I don't know about you, Chief, but I can't speak it.
Hello, Chief.
I can't speak it either. So, for May, I think we've just summoned him from the production demon room.
I think so. I'm producing right now, but hey, those our friend.
But before you get started, though, fair mate, fun fact: this is you're not going to be the only Russian I cast with this week.
Oh, that's fun.
Just saying.
That is fun. Ну, первый раунд уже проходит к оранжевой команде. Получается, первая команда, которая получила, это уже защищающаяся. То есть нормально начинается импульс. Как бы начинается первый раунд сразу. Когда первый раунд получается защищающейся командой, становится как бы статус получается. То есть мы можем защищать эту карту, мы вам не дадим контроль с самого сразу начала. И теперь они приходят на место, которое обычно мы не видим. Первые 2 раунда. Это будет второй этаж, но на другой стороне от здания, где усворены эти все камеры. То есть уже, получается, защищающиеся идут на другую сторону карты. И обычно мы это видим практически в каждый раз, если не защищают второй этаж, как бы, gym bedroom, как называют эти все американцы, этот бомб-сайт. Ну, и получается, линейка нападающих не изменяется, остаются те же самые люди. Чиф, что ты считаешь, как это будет развиваться, этот раунд?
I concur. Whatever you said was absolutely brilliant. It was the correct analytical breakdown, that is for sure. Now, I did hear 2 words. I think that's probably the most important words. Gym bedroom. That is the bomb site that we're currently going to. Now, this bomb site is designed to waste a lot of hard breach utility because the attackers have to basically take control of cash box over here. Now, my dear friend May, if I just repeated what you said, my sincere apologies. Again, my Russian is actually bad. Now, actually, I don't speak any language other than English, so my apologies for that as well. But I'm going to have you continuously break down how the attackers need to move throughout this round.
Да, отлично. Не переживай, Брайан, ты меня не повторил ничего. И это все, получается, всю информацию, которую ты нам рассказал про этот раунд, это немного новое. Но Эйс уже пытается открыть несколько дырок в стен, чтобы видеть, что происходит в этой кэш-рум. уже, получается, Юски назад идет, назад к бомб-сайту проходит, но Егор сидит в этом в углу. То же самое Юски, они все по углам сидят, ждут, пока нападающие будут делать... короче, время. Это все доходит ко времени. Чем больше времени они будут убирать от нападающих, тем лучше у них будет обстановка. Потому что чем меньше времени есть найти этот сайт и поставить бомбу, все будет отлично. Коучин с Эмоном находится на том же первом этаже. И Эмон, наконец-то, остался 2 минуты от заканчивания раунда. И он будет немного будет эту стену лизать своим торчем. Пока ничего не происходит. Брайан, где весь экшен? Где весь экшен?
I concur. Everything you said was perfectly on point. I just wanted to echo some things that you were saying. The on-site pressure and the buffer rooms that InControl Nation is currently holding is going to allow them to waste more time because Synthetic hasn't actively dealt with it. They're basically being stalled out. Synthetic isn't setting the pace of the round. It's InControl Nation and attacking teams that set the pace of rounds as the attacking rosters that tend to win more. And it seems like Amen is really struggling over here by the spa wall, all the way over to the west. He hasn't even opened
так
it
ты чё? Он может увидеть то же самое. Остается София на голове. Получается, он сможет его убить. 4 против 4. София еще находится на крыше. Она не видит. 3 против 4. Уже все падают. Желто-оранжевый везде. 4 разных человека. В 1 секунду всех он убивает. И раунд идет к InControl Nation. Не получает 2 поинта, начиная эту игру.
That was absolutely brilliant. Fribbe, thank you so much for casting that. But my kind friend, I'm going to have to ask you, go back into your production room. We're going to have to lock you downstairs in the basement until some poor soul also redeems that feature once again. But Blue Panda, you were quiet in round number 2. Talk to me about what happened.
Look, I couldn't agree more with what Ferme said, but I don't know why he had to kill his mum so hard. That was a bit unfair. It's just that the guy's doing his best in this situation. I'm kidding. But yeah, no, a solid defense there, and it was a very, very dominating round to close things out there on the gym bedroom defense, which is about as much as I understood of what Ferme was saying. I heard idiota, but I think that might be something a little bit different in Russian. It's probably not what it implies. But going into the CCTV, we've made the journey. We've come all the way back up to this, what is traditionally, either primary or secondary bomb site for the majority of teams. This is one that can go any number of ways. And with Exile picking up Ned Flanders himself, this is going to be an interesting one.
I love the reference. I have never drawn that parallel or that connection before, and you've changed my life forever, Blue. I just called him the most dapper Rainbow Six Siege player, but obviously, I am nowhere near the Gigabrain descriptions that you are. But something that I think was very important is you were calling this, the primary bomb site for a lot of teams. And that is true. But Clubhouse has become a staple map. It was the first map to be reworked, as they didn't call it reworks, and they called it map buffs. But nonetheless, it has always been a competitive map. This has allowed a lot of teams, both on attack and defense, to perfect their strategies. And sure, metas have come and gone, but still, the backbone is there. And that basically means all 3 bomb sites, other than the quaternary bomb site, are interchangeable. Teams are so comfortable on it, but nonetheless, sometimes barroom stock, that absolute delicious quaternary bomb site, sees a little bit of gameplay.
Located by attackers.
I don't know what leagues you're casting, Chief, but you probably need to stop if they're playing bar stock.
We saw it 2 weeks ago. Here.
I did not. I closed my eyes. I refused. Coming into this, they're trying to get that CCTV wall open. Pixel this time is going to be the one on the Maverick. Gets it, drones in, sees that Navozo's going for the Nitro Cell plate. We'll try and shoot him in the leg for his troubles, but no, nothing yet at the moment. They're looking to start off this pressure, and he tried to go for a nade, but the ADS was in position, so key placements so far have been found by Bone. It's already paying out dividends. Still trying to get that wall open. They're still trying to pressure from below, as you would expect. You've got one player in Con, one in Master, and one on Suicide. But they are slowly working over towards the bomb site from the west. You look at Salt, he's locking down the angle. They finally got things open on the CCTV wall. They have got the ground they need to initiate this execute onto the site. But you look at the stacking up of this InControl Nation roster. There are players abound that can contest these gunfights.
But as you're saying, INC is fully stacked, and they really have their back against the wall. And if Synthetic utilizes their drone economy perfectly, they should start to get free kills. And that is exactly why Kojin had his back against the wall. He understood he had no option other than getting aggressive now when the attackers weren't prepared for it. Now, obviously, he sacrificed his life early on, but he still tried to save his team the round. Now, one of the most important frags and the casualties was Pixel over here by the east wall. With him now removed from this scenario, this means INC can start to get aggressive. Nobozo's gonna go flying out windows. The timer has been changed by how much time you can spend. He will still be able to get the kills. The on-site pressure from Synthetic's gonna push their way on through. Suddenly they have control of the bomb site, but as quickly as they got control, everybody from Synthetic has fallen. It is now just a 1v1. Bone is on a sliver of HP. One bullet will be his undoing, so he just needs to play the clock and force Salt to put the bomb down, standing up and walking. It's going to be a free kill for Bone. INC able to make the perfect sweep.
Yeah, and this is just the the familiarity InControl Nation have with a map like Clubhouse. They're comfortable. They're playing their game. Bone, there's any number of players in this league who would have forced as soon as they heard the defuse, but no. Bone says, hold on. I know it's a 1v1. I've got all the advantages I could possibly want in this situation. So he can go for the plant if he wants. 3 rounds in a row. Flawless bomb site rotation on the defense. We're going to be heading back down to basement, which is where it all kicked off. And there was a couple of moments in that round where it was a little contested, but Exile was the star player in that round.
Oh, 100%. And Synthetic understood their positioning. They understood that Synthetic was in a bad way, or InControl Nation was in a very bad way. They basically had their backs against the wall, and they could have set up their kill box. But it seemed like Synthetic, once again, moved far too quickly. They didn't coordinate this execute. And I'm guessing that's stemming from the fact that Crafty, the gentleman who actually calls those executes, isn't in this lobby. Now, sure, you have Pixel, your secondary IGL, who is semi-calling strategies sometimes, but he isn't exactly the same thing. You need both of those minds to be working together as one gigabrain. And when you basically remove one lobe of your brain, you can still function, but just not at the highest capacity.
10 seconds to go.
Well, I mean, there are certain roles where you don't need to go quite as gigabrain as that, and one of them is that entry role. At the moment, though, A-Man, he's Breezy, he's really struggling. 0-3. In fact, Hazmat has got on the board before he has. Hazmat at the moment, he's sitting at a 1. At the moment, he's doing all right in terms of that KD, which is what everyone knows is the most important part of Rainbow Six Siege. If your KD isn't up there, you shouldn't be doing anything. How's your KD at the moment, Chief? I know mine's probably not up to snuff to be casting right now.
My KD is quite bad right now. I did not have good qualifying games in ranked. And also, after yesterday's 1v1 against Crow, I don't deserve to ever touch ranked. Now, admittedly, I was trying to double shotgun half the time, but apparently I'm the worst player when it comes to Super 90 or Shotgun 90 or Sniper 90 back in the day. But apparently my hot hand that I had last season has completely dissolved with Frostbite.
Well, at the moment, KDs are looking good for InControl Nation. Bone, he's 5-1. Exile is 7-2-0. Has yet to die going into round number 4. Has really just been absolutely pivotal in these rounds that InControl Nation picked up, and he's looking for more even. He's got the angle from below, and Arsenal, he's saying, come on, just walk into my line of sight. Sees the player, goes to the shot, just whiffs a little bit, goes to the nitro cell instead, and it pays out in spades. Hazmat goes down, followed closely by Salt as he's taken out by the MP5 and Novozo. And this is really just proving to be an absolute cakewalk here, Nation.
the two new imports that InControl Nation adopted into their roster, Novozo as well as Exile, are absolute monsters. They are just showing why they deserve to be parts of the INC team. Now, Bone is going to overstay his welcome as he was trying to play through bullet holes, but as soon as you give yourself away in the soft wall, you have to retreat, or else you'll have your forehead removed from your body. But Lucy is going to get just a little bit too aggressive, unable to even pull the trigger, and she is going to lose the majority of her HP. But the most important thing, Novozo is still alive. A unique micro positioning from Exile is going to deliver himself to 2 free kills. He is just heating up after every single one of these rounds. Synthetic has yet to be able to stop this man.
He goes one better even than the last time we saw him in basement. That time around it was a 3K. This time it's a 4K. And unfortunately, we might be seeing him back there. So no ace on the cards on the basement bomb site. Gym bedroom. So we are repeating history, it seems, as that was round number 2 here. Look, they're just as much as those last couple of rounds for InControl Nation map number 1 were a shutout. It's feeling even more so here, Chief. This is just a walk in the park for the InControl Nation guys. The closest they've been pushed is Bone in a 1v1, and he still had the clock on his side anyway. Dan Pixel, he's going for a bit of a change here. No Twitch coming in, no stun grenades. He's going for the, the steroided up Russian Olympic athlete version of the stun grenades. It's Candela's coming out. He's going to be bringing the...
Actually, this could work out very well. The macro strategy for InControl Nation was to utilize as much of the buff rooms as possible, stemming all the way from the east, which is cash, working into construction, closet, logi, and, well, that gold room over there. So it can work out perfectly if those Candelas find their target. But it's going to be, again, how well Synthetic is able to coordinate as a team. Something that they've been really suffering when they're executing. And that's the most important thing an IGL does. He actually actively leads the roster. He doesn't just call strategies, he is the guiding hand and the force of the roster on attack as well as defense.
Well, coming into this, the in-game leadership has been a little bit lacking for that. You can tell that much is for sure. And I suppose that largely comes because the in-game leader is subbed out here as Breezy has stepped in, filled that 5th man position at the moment. Salt, he's just full sending it at the moment. Already into CCTV, actively droning in teammates, so they might be able to find the kill on the Yusuke, who drops down off the table there, looking for anything. Selma's going out, drones as well. They're looking to heavily contest on the cash at the moment. They'll open up the window into suicide, and it seems that they've pulled back. They've given up cash for the most part here. They're going to retreat back into construction, recognizing that there is some overwhelming pressure coming their way.
And it looks like members of InControl Nation have been performing, but obviously all chat has said their sensitivity is just not what they want to see. And that mindset is channeled straight into Yusuke as he's going to be flashed into absolute mayhem and then be killed for free. So hopefully InControl Nation is still able to take control of those buff rooms and utilize them as apex points and basically force the attackers to slow down when dealing with it. Another thing that InControl Nation has really started to skip over in round number 5 is sniping away those drones.
Well, the information game is very, very key, especially on the attack for Clubhouse. Salt works his way into Logic. Concussion's going out, trying to catch that. Sitting in red corridor at the moment, but he loses one. Doubles up, having utilized that SMG-11 for his double in the round. Pressuring in there, pinching. Hazmat follows up onto Novozo. Exile hits the dirt too. Down, but not out. But largely ineffective as Emmett with a triple in this round. They're looking to get themselves on the board. He's going to have something to say. He is down below. The defuse hasn't been committed yet. Pixel up onto the bed. Won't be sticking it out just yet. And Hazmat with the vertical angle. He drops down through the hatch, in fact, into billiards and finds the gunfight. I call it a gunfight. It was largely a slaughter, as you're about to see. There we go. The drop shot even. Absolutely obliterated. And there we go. Synthetic. They stem the tide. They get themselves around on the board. Chief, is this a case of too little too late?
I don't think so. 4-2 splits are very common on this map, and sure, it doesn't really matter where they actually get those round wins. If Synthetic is able to win round number 6, they're going to find themselves in okay fashion moving over to their defense. Now, something that changed in the mindset of Synthetic was the first round that we've seen them coordinate as a team. Also, InControl Nation was a little bit too aggressive in stages where they're just starting to wide swing positions they didn't need to, and when they needed to be aggressive, there was absolutely nobody home for InControl Nation because they're still trying to actively deny with those nitro cells. A plant on the bed is extremely common. It is actually one of the most common places because most teams hold from underneath. That is why it is imperative to basically open up murder holes in the floor so you can send that nitro cell sky high and deal with the plant on the bed. Also, again, that's just kind of one mulligan for INC. Hopefully they're able to bring it back in round number 6.
Well, we've seen them pull it out of the bag in some of those clutch situations. The attack hasn't been quite that aggressive one that we saw on Kafe. It was just that no holds barred push onto the bomb site and use of overwhelming force to try and catch up their opponents. This time around, it's been a little bit more reserved in all honesty. They haven't just gone, full head first rush. So we'll see. We'll see just how well it plays going into the half. If they can get to, that's going to be great. But with Bo near up in that first floor corridor, prone, waiting for someone to push into the doorway. But no, it seems that Synthetic aren't going to be caught out that easily, punished as freely as that. So on suicide at the moment. A lot of droning coming in, a lot of players on the roof as they will start to push in, but they are just going straight from gym through master into con, it seems.
Let's hold off talking about macro strategy. You see Exile walking all over 90 like a crab with his deployable shield. I don't know if he was trying to find a place to put it down, if he was waiting for the execute, but that was hilarious. He's just searching for that one spot. But his deployable shield might not actually help him, since it's going to be a pure West execute for Synthetic. Now, we have seen construction takes work at the high level as well, trickling down into T3. The problem with this strategy is it forces the attackers into a linear scenario where they don't have a lot of crossfires. Now, the best way to break that, though, is going to be a Ying. But have Synthetic done their due diligence with flank drones for that off-site pressure of Bone?
Well, that is the true question at the end of the day. You see them all grouped up in close proximity here. You got 3 players in and around con, 2 now. We will see 2 of them head up towards the roof and over, potentially towards garage, it seems. They haven't got a dedicated hard breacher here, other than... But I think it's one of those situations where it's probably a little late to be trying to get things opened up. The suicide window results in Salt being taken down. Yusuke there. Candela's primed and ready. They'll be dumped. TV at the moment. Full coverage going to be achieved as Exile. Has he got his watch? No. Spray through the smoke. They lose one either way. Pixel goes down. Exile goes down. Hazmat down. And all of a sudden, what looked like it could have been a 4-2 half is looking less and less likely. 2 players left to the 3 up and standing. Kojin gets dropped. And Chief with 30 seconds left, I think. Split.
It might be, but it's not over until every single member of this lobby has been killed. Synthetic's gonna fight their hardest to find victory in round number 6, and with members of INC over peaking and A-Man going nuclear, it might be absolutely possible. Pistol in hand, though, will A-Man be successful? He has the defuse in his back pocket. He's gonna have to either go for the kills or attempt the plant. He goes for the wide swing. He is just better. The substitute, the last-minute pickup, is able to save the round for Synthetic. Breezy going off.
Yeah, I think it's only fitting that, while casting with you, Chief, that the curse goes both ways. Yeah, no, that was a bone level. On Zofia, no less. 2-4 going into the half. This is Synthetic's game to win here. They could look to pick up some big rounds on the defense. Now they're going to be heading down to basement to kick things off. InControl Nation, they're going to be battling up against the wall. Mira, Mozzie, and Ella in play is going to be a bit scary.
I'm just reeling after that. I can't fathom that clutch. Honestly, the bone clutch in map number 1 was absolutely impeccable. I did not think we were going to see anything better than that. But that pre-fire, that perfect read was something I don't think we're going to see for a while. That was absolutely instrumental. Another round that definitely should not have been lost by one of the defending teams because they weren't playing as a unit. A very rare mistake by InControl Nation, but it's incredibly costly.
Yeah, is it what? And look, coming into that, InControl Nation, by all rights, should have won the round. They had the setup, they had the tools, they had the players, and then they didn't. And Eamon, Breezy, just a big clutch. Finally gets some meaningful frags on the board. He's 4-0, but he's definitely been found here in this situation. With the mirror on the board, he's going to pick it up as well. Mira is a scary prospect, especially on the basement bomb site. There's so many angles that she can cover with those windows. And as they are finally all being set up, you've got to wonder what the question is. Where to InControl Nation apply pressure? And it seems they're just going to be stacking up around dirt.
And again, we've seen this execute before. This is that French style of play. Take control of dirt, utilize that as a crossfire. But this isn't going to be too important to you. This is just to force the defenders away from dummies, AKs, as well as those middle boxes. Now, Coach has absolutely struggled with his little torch, but he's eventually going to deal with it. Now, that doesn't seem like that's a lot of time wasted, but those 5 seconds might come down to their execute, and those 5 seconds could be what makes or breaks the round.
And you see, they've already got the kitchen hatch open here. It's been phenomenal play so far already in this round. InControl, they're wasting time, they're creating confusion, they're trying to focus Synthetic on that kitchen hatch when in fact the pressure is going to be starting to come from Dirt Tunnel. Hazmat, the first victim of that inevitable push. Frag grenade does land in the right place at the right time. And as a result, they've lost the smoke very, very early into the round, Chief. The stall factor, the delay operator himself is now gone and had almost every single canister in the pocket. Bone gets felled by Salt, but Kojin's there for the refrag. And he was tucked into the corner, somehow managed to pick it up without going down himself. 3-4. InControl Nation looking very good, very solid in this round.
Now, Salt was able to get the kill there, sure. His micro positioning cost him his life in the end. I tend to like to see defenders go for 82 engagements where you have an 80% chance of winning, a 20% chance of losing. That gunfight that Salt was in was definitely a 50-50 at best. So definitely something that you wouldn't tend to see. Now, Pixels are going to be allowed to just walk on up. There's no coverage whatsoever, but he didn't check his corners. So INC is going to go up to bat. They're going to swing for the fences and win round number 7. The retake upstairs was not the play.
Yeah. And Kojin, I mean, he started it off, makes sense that he to finish it out. Just a quick step around the doorway, headshot, puts the remaining player of Synthetic on the benches. 5-2. I mean, look, Chief, the last time we were in this position, Synthetic were able to bring it back to 5-5 in the end. That was on their attacking half. Now on the defense on Clubhouse. This is entirely, again, a possibility that we see a repeat of history here. But the cohesion that we've seen so far out of the attack, the synergy from InControl Nation, it's just been on point at every turn. Like, even that round, that last one where Salt was able to push up and frag, they still had the refrag, even though Kojin was caught unawares. They still managed to turn that round into a win. So they've got to go big. I think the Capcan, it's an interesting read. Having to utilize those entry and denial devices could catch off a team like InControl Nation, who they do tend to go for that hard fall at some point in the round. But the question is, are they going to be aware of it enough to clear the doorways?
So when I saw Capcan, we've seen them actually tease an operator before. That was back in map number 1. Now, they did end up 6-picking him away. So that was just basically foreshadowing that Capcan could be an operator in the lineup. And that's actually the 3000 IQ, because INC is just going to assume, all right, Capcan is going to be 6-picked. We don't have to think about that. Now, personally, I would rather 6-pick into the Capcan so the attackers have no information on it whatsoever. But as you're highlighting, those charges could be instrumental. This is going to force the drone work of InControl Nation to deal with all 5 of those charges, communicate, coordinate, and execute upon them. Because they might not insta-kill you now, they only do 60 damage at max, but they can definitely hurt you when going for an execute.
Well, that is the name of the game. And at the moment, they are starting things up here on CCTV. They're even going for the older Sledge Maverick synergy, where you destroy all the soft wall. Makes it that much easier for the Breaching Torch to open things up after the fact. From there, they can start to actually contest in onto the bomb site. Hazmat, he's playing a bit of the Jackal game, but at the moment, Kojin, he's not going to be falling for that just yet. Aggressive, pushing in towards Con. Can Hazmat find anything? But it's Emin. He's the one to find the kill on the Kojin. Somehow, the pixel angle all the way from Rafters deals with player on the breach. And from there, that means they've either got to rotate over Navozo to get things open because the ball wasn't finished, or they've got to go elsewhere.
Now, if the mute jammer has been removed, you can utilize a Selma charge and still open it up. Now, that line was long enough, so you might be able to do that, and you do have Exile in play. A frag grenade would be perfect at removing a mute jammer. Just like how InControl Nation has been removed from construction. 3 of their teammates have instantaneously just fell out of the blue. They lined up, and they got knocked down. Novoza will be unable to rotate over to the east, so a very linear push is the only answer that InControl Nation is going to be able to bring, and the 2 new imports are going to have to click heads. And, well, it might not be head clicking, as Novoza is just alive.
I'm sorry, Hazmat thanked himself for his own headshot.
Of course he did.
And, yeah, at the moment, it's a 4v1. K12, he's going to find the first frag onto Emin, but Hazmat, he's going to find the final one. Pushing all the way in the master bedroom. My lord, the man is egoing himself right. Types the nice shot in chat, then says thank you as a response to himself. But at the moment, look, I think he's deserved this match, this map round. He's doing far better than he did. The stats are looking a little bit better in the grand scheme of things. He's actually got some kills for once, and he's surviving the full length of rounds. There you go. 8-0-6. He's positive for once, Chief.
Can we get a round of applause for Hazmat? Just everybody in Twitch chat right now, just put clapping emojis in chat. Obviously, Haz needs it. And you know, sometimes you have your own hype man. And trust me, I've been in VCs with Synthetic. Crafty is the hype man. He just blasts music before the game, during the game. It doesn't matter. He gets his team pumped. So since he's not in the server, Hazmat basically has to make the evolution into his own personal hype man, getting himself fueled up, fired up to click heads, because clearly he's doing a phenomenal job of that. And something, Blue, that you mentioned earlier on, we have seen this storyline before. 5-2 advantage for InControl Nation, and all of a sudden, Synthetic starts to run it back.
10 seconds to go.
Well, I mean, after that last round, I'd be definitely inclined to believe that it's a possibility. But the real question is, are we going to see a bit of the Levron effect come into Hazmat, thanking himself, getting a bit puffy-chested as... Look, so that's... if he can find something here, he's looking. Punished just as good as he dishes out. Kojin tagged, but that's not the ideal result that you're looking for on a spawn peak like that. This Synthetic team, they're definitely pulling some interesting stuff out of the bag.
I mean, they're getting very aggressive, and that seems to be default mode for a Synthetic. Our strategies aren't working, so let me just try to find the opening kill. I like the idea of what Salt is utilizing. I don't think that's the play. I think it's just basically Synthetic saying, we have to do something. What did we have available? Oh, I can click heads. Again, I'd rather see strategy first, mechanical skills second. And sure, you can have strategies around clicking heads. They just tend to not be the strategy you want to always be utilizing. A great strategy that Synthetic tends to like to use, and most teams for that, is holding Dirt Tunnel for as long as possible.
Well, we'll see if they can do it. Pixel, he's on a pretty deep roam here for a Capcan. He's all the way over towards the rafters. I think he's done a full loop of the building almost here, and he might even do a complete one. Tess potentially still heads back down. Secret and Hazmat. Yeah, he's cursed himself a wee bit there. He's found by Bone. He's been punished for the thanking himself in chat earlier. Pixel, could he find something here? He swings. No, he can't. Yusuke is just better at the end of the day. You cannot contest against that R4C when it's in his hands. Emmett, he's going to be the second contestant, and he loses.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Fortunately, when the price is right, it's not in his favor.
And it just seems like Synthetic, they're just wanting to go for gunfights, and they're losing it, and here comes the strategy of InControl Nation. They've removed all of the pawns, and the bomb is going to start to go down. Now, sure, Solid has found a kill as well as A-Man, but is it going to be enough? There might be perfect coverage, but the bomb's going to be attempted to be defused. There's no answer for InControl Nation whatsoever. A-Man's going to go for the clutch. He's going to save the round once again. Synthetic, a huge play, a miraculous play as he dips potato chips his way into the victory celebration.
Yeah, pros don't fake. And there was a big mistake being made there by InControl Nation. Bone should have had the angle. He was gunned down before he could find it, and there was just no support whatsoever from main stairs to cover in the armory. And there you go. That's one for the highlight reel. Big clutch on the defuse. And with that, we head to gym bedroom. This is looking more and more likely. Pete of last map. The big question, though, is how does that big finale play out? Will it be Synthetic pushing it over the edge, resulting in a draw against a team like InControl Nation? Or will we see the repeat 7-5? That is still up in the air.
Again, another round that I've just discombobulated. The words have been ripped away from my vocal cords. I can't even process what happened in the previous round. The French style of execute is so strong because you hold kitchen. It allows you to have that vertical pressure, so you force the defenders to take vertical gunfights. They have the high ground after all. And if any of us watch Star Wars, we know that it's so important. But INC just let that one tiny bit of information just leave their cranium. But we're going to be going over to tertiary bomb site, and statistically, this is InControl Nation's best chance at winning a bomb site.
Locate and defuse a bomb.
Yeah, it really is. They need to pull something here. The way things have been going, it's looking a bit questionable in all honesty. It's there's been some minor hiccups that really have cost InControl Nation. And we'll see if they repeat the same. I mean, Yusuke got the massive frags on the entry. They set themselves up for best position possible for the plant. But then Bone got down. We got absolutely just obliterated with the headshot. And from there, they didn't have anyone covering the defuse. So you've got to wonder if the communication's there. Once again, Emmett going to be the first one to go down. Yusuke on the hunt, finds that first frag. The player that was in cash now gone. Nitro Cell in a response, not going to find much of anything as Yusuke heads downstairs, realizing that the vertical threat was there. Has Pixel behind him! No idea that was someone in secret. That is one of the freest frags I have ever seen.
Wow, and it almost looked like he was going to go for the knife. Pixel seemed perplexed by the fact that Yusuke was just standing there in the middle of the opening. And that was another mistake from InControl Nation. Yusuke is mechanically brilliant. He almost won round number 9 for his team, but he's going to be forced into flank watch duty. Frags back and forth between both of these teams, and it seems like everybody's going to attempt to take and hold cash box for as long as possible. It is going to be the burial grounds for both of these teams, but the crossfire is still over and being set up by INC. It is going to be Bone from the east, Exile and Kojin from the west.
Like, honestly, I was half expecting Pixel to just put the gun barrel up to the back of Yusuke's head there in that situation. He was very, very confused as to how that one played out. At the moment, they've got Jacuzzi wall open. Eamon Breezy is ready there. Top main stairs. Pulls himself back, realizes that there is going to be some pressure coming very soon. Shoots out the drone. Back onto the bomb site. Has Hazmat there in support. So the 2 SAS operators plus the 1 Navy SEAL on the defense, all grouped up close by so that the refrag can happen should it need to. Utility coming in, a lot of damage being dealt. Kojin going to be the unfortunate victim. Bone swings in, finds Pixel into Logi, and now they're going to go for that multi-pronged assault. Aim and score. Exile going down. so close. They're all stacked up. Kojin and Bone here. Eamon, he does get the kill, so it's Bone alone. But we know Bone can clutch up in these situations. He's in low, seconds left. A 1v2. A-Man is low. Hazmat is there as well, playing with the shotgun tight around the shower. Can they find anything here? They're dancing around the breach, playing those close angles. Bodie sees the swing out. No! Shotgun connects. Hazmat, he seems to have done it again. The teabag happens, but A-Man will steal the frag away. Synthetic, they repeat history, bring it back to 5-5. And Chief, they have a shot of tying up this series.
Nobody can shut down the dual SMG 11 bros. And InControl Nation, a roller coaster of a round. They find the opening kill, they do everything right, and then they start to make mistakes. They're rushing themselves. They're just skipping very silly mistakes. And we have returned to exactly where we were in map number 1. This is going to go the distance. We are required to utilize 12 rounds. But just a reminder how our point system works. If InControl Nation wins the next round, they will win the entire series. InControl Nation was able to win 3 points in map number 1. And if we go to OT, the max amount of points you can earn is 2. And if you lose OT, you still gain a single point. So it is imperative for INC to win at least round 11 and round 12 if they want to find themselves the victors in this series. Now, a lot of individuals have been slamming Synthetic on the timeline, saying that they're a team that does not deserve to be in this league. Clearly, Synthetic has proved every single one of their haters wrong today in this phenomenal series.
Yeah, I mean, the jury's still out on Hazmat, but he's looking pretty good at the moment. He's still got a couple of rounds to play. He's stepped up on Clubhouse. Kafe obviously wasn't quite his map, and at the moment, it's 5-5. Okay, if we carry on with the same way that map number 1 went, InControl Nation closes out in regulation time, they win the next 2 rounds, and there's no contest. But with this setup, with Synthetic on the defense, this plausibly is looking like it would be the Synthetic's map to win here. They've just found their gunfights. They've found their situations that have given them huge advantages at the end of the day as they're setting up for that CCTV wall take. We saw that long angle being contested in Raft. Exile is very, very confused right now. He's not used to things resisting his hammer.
What happened over there? Is the wall soft? He hit one hole. I know they want the entire breach, but it might not have got that. I am honestly super curious to see if that wall is going to be opened up with one breach hole or multiple breach holes. But for the time being, it's actually being members of Synthetic, actively fishing for that kill. Kojin has to be careful. He died in the position the last time he was here. A brilliant prone angle was his undoing. The wall will be opened up, and fortunately opened up even more by the Nitro Cell of Synthetic. Obviously, they were sad that the wall was never opened up in their favor, as 2 important kills roll in favor of the SYN boys.
Nitro Cells really have been paying out for Synthetic so far, as Navoso back a little bit closer. Emin goes down. Again, is one of the players in the series who has struggled somewhat. Definitely not looking great again in terms of gunfights. They've got the pressure, they've got the positioning. They can look to start opening things up here, as it looks like Con will be the play. Mute Gemma dealt with some. Open up that Con cash wall. So pulls back off the angle with Hazmat. No, sorry, not Hazmat. It's a Breezy who's there with him. So they realize that the threat is imminent with just under a minute to play. They're going to reposition, look, play the angles they can. A-Man with a Nitro Cell. Frag grenade cook will be tossed into CCTV. Doesn't find much of anything. And XL will have to follow it up with himself and the gun. Kojin, he's looking for just about anything he can find here. They're going to stack up, look to execute together. Goes to the spray, can't find it. 30 seconds now. Time is ticking away, and they haven't got any real advantages here. They have some idea of player positioning, but that doesn't count for much if you can't win the gunfights. Chief, 20 seconds left. 2 players alive, 1 player alive. As Exile goes down, Synthetic are looking good to take out the tie.
Poor Kojin, he has to find 3-4 kills. It's not even gonna happen. Everybody at Synthetic is just running out. They are so eager for this. Kojin's gonna eat up in this round, but no, the substitute with the kill, the shotgun downtown from downrange, and it is going to be Synthetic on match point. It is imperative that INC now wins round number 12. If they want to find themselves the victor of this series, they first have to win round 12 and then go into overtime. And just a reminder, here in Storm Competitive Series, we do have unlimited overtime, so you have to win 2 rounds in a row, but we can't even talk about OT before we see how INC executes on Church Arsenal.
Basement coming in. Pixel, he's really done the whole revolution. Right, we've seen Capcan, we've seen Jaeger for him. We're now seeing the leash. We've seen him on a vigil even. As we are just getting those last minute 6 picks in. Hazmat off the smoke onto the pulse. I think this is probably the play, given that, you know, more often than not on this basement defense, he has been the opening frag in that dirt tunnel position on the smoke. So with a pulse, he can feed that information. They can look to utilize those nitro cells, which have been one of the key reasons they are picking up frags now on the defense. So the real question is, what is InControl's answer? They really have just found themselves lacking so far in this half. They're about to potentially lose out on this map and have the series result in a tie, which would probably be the biggest disparager so far for them this season against Synthetic. Everyone except CDC pegged it to go the way of InControl Nation. By all rights, it should be an InControl Nation series, but Synthetic, they've been putting in the work. They're looking very, very good right now to take this as a tie and deny InControl Nation in regulation time.
Now, I know we're hyping up Synthetic, but I have to be very critical of He-Man over there. He is constantly the opening death for his team. If he was in the server more, this could be a harder trump for Synthetic, but it just seems like he's playing too aggressive. He's finding himself on an island and not really understanding his micro positioning and how it's costing him his team. He is going to be on a Valkyrie roll. He has already sent a nitro cell up, which might be pre-placed. We don't know if it's been detonated yet. So even if he dies early on, he's still going to have his 3 cameras down range. And actually having a Valkyrie relegated to cam duty could be a huge playmaker and a change for a roster, because he could be providing information the entire time. Valkyrie, after all, is a pseudo echo.
Navozo shoots out his own Selma there in the pursuit of killing Hazmat, which he does. So pulse off the board, less information available. Pixel still playing upstairs. Was trying to utilize that Logi angle to deny that breach on the kitchen, but as a result, he hasn't found much of anything here at the moment, except a little bit of damage. He's got 3 goo mines, almost 4 in pocket. He's going to find a kill, but he's going to find 2 as Navozo did gun down A-Man, but was punished for his trouble. So Pixel only doubles up on his single kill investment. At the moment, it's 3 versus 3. Yusuke has been spotted going down secret. Drone there to find Pixel as well. So they are aware of the upstairs presence, which is going to be a lurking threat. And there might Emin with the... That's exactly what you're looking for at the moment. 2 versus 3. Synthetic are looking good to try and steal away the series win here from InControl Nation. It's a 2 versus 3. Unfortunately, though, for Synthetic, one of those 2 is Bone.
Synthetic has never lost Clubhouse. They want to keep that streak alive. InControl Nation has surrendered their diffuser all the way over in blue. So the 2 remaining members, Kojin and Bone, are tasked with a very tall order. They have to find 3 kills and or grab the diffuser. And it looks like everybody in Synthetic is going to be relegated to defending that golden box for as long as possible. They are going to die trying, and INC has no time to go for their execute. They have no drones. They're gonna have to face check every single positioning, and with every second that clicks down, Father Time has a bigger smile on his face. That is an important kill for Bone. He's gonna push on through, but unable, looking the wrong direction. Pixel saves the round for his team. That's a 4K in the round. Pixel heated up when his team needed him the most. The streak for Synthetic will not be broken. Everybody cuts that roster out, but you can no longer call them the joke.
A 7-5 split here in the series. Synthetic lose map number 1. They bring it back to 5-5. They just can't close it out in the final 2 rounds. Map number 2, they do the same damn thing. And they win the 2 rounds they need to take the series. So both teams walk away with 3 points. But you've got to admit, Chief, the ultimate victory at the end of the day has to go to Synthetic, because what a statement they made.
I am so incredibly impressed with them. I said this team a long time ago. They are capable of greatness. They're capable of brilliance. Hazmat is a prodigy in the making. He's incredibly young, but he has a quick hand. He can click heads. Everybody on that roster is just mechanically gifted. They showed they are worth their weight in salt. I love InControl Nation. It is no secret that I'm friends with that roster. I'm also friends with INC. And truly, the performance that Synthetic did today has put an incredible smile on my face.
I mean, look, they went big. They went huge at the end of the day. They, battled the odds. They came into map number 1. They went onto the attack and pulled out some phenomenal rounds. They really did. Everyone was like, cool. They went into the half. Realistically, InControl Nation should be able to close this one out. They battled to 5-5 and then almost pushed it over. Coming into map number 2, 4-2 split. The last 2 rounds on the defense, they went big again. They pulled out some really, really big rounds. And then on the defense, everyone, most of the people in chat would have been like, no, they're just going to be able to close it out here and it will be done and dusted. But no, that's not the case. We do have Pixel, the man himself, coming in here to join us, Chief. And we could not have asked for a better interviewee after that huge 4K in the final round.
My friend, welcome. Unmute yourself. Grace us with your presence. Hello. Congrats on tying up that series.
Thank you so much. What's up? Hello. Hi, Chief. Hi, Blue Panda. Thank you for the cast. That was insane. That was an insane
Thank you for that entertainment. That was impeccable. Now, I gotta know, you didn't have your primary IGL. You are the secondary. What was your transition like in this series?
This series, honestly, it was all Breeze. I'm gonna be honest. Breeze, his IGLing was insane. We're so happy that we got a support, like an IGL as our sub. But honestly, I think we worked so much better. All the drills we've been doing this week, all the scrims. I think even though, we've been missing a bunch of things, we've been getting late to scrims, I think we've been doing amazing.
Now, frequently, members of your roster were the opening deaths. How are you constantly able to win rounds with a huge man disadvantage?
I just feel like we were just making the plays. Our gun skill, we were just playing so unpredictable. We noticed that if we play predictable against INC, they know all the basics. They're going to do everything. They're going to drone us out. They're going to try to clear us. So basically, we just went for ranked plays, basically. We just tried to swing, try to get kills, and that's what I think lowered the morale and got us the win.
Now, is that why Capcan was showed multiple times on Kafe and then actually stuck on Club?
Oh, yeah, of course. My Capcan's my crutch op. That's what I use in rank.
Don't worry, it's my crutch op as well. Now, I have to know, you did lose map number 1, a 7-5. Were you expecting to deliver a 7-5 back to your opponent today?
Honestly, we were surprised that we got 2 rounds on defense. We were just so happy that we were getting these rounds. We knew that, honestly, we could have won that game if we played a better defense, if we closed out those rounds a lot more. But just getting 5 rounds on InControl was just amazing for us.
Now, what is the future of Synthetic? A lot of people have been hating on you guys in the TL, saying that you guys can't accomplish anything. Obviously, the past 3 weeks, you've proved your haters wrong. So what is your future? And also, the second part of that question is, what do you say to your haters?
I think our future is just going up from here. Honestly, if we were this synthetic at the beginning of this SCS season, we could have done a lot better. But honestly, we're just gonna go up from here. We're gonna practice more. We're gonna scrim more. We're gonna do more drills. Where everyone's gonna improve. Everyone's gonna make it on time to scrims. And to our haters, just keep on watching. Just keep on looking and see how much we're gonna improve and beat the bigger teams.
Perfect, my friend. It's been an absolute pleasure. Please shout out your support staff, Erebus, Sean, and everybody who helped you be successful today.
Yeah, I want to give thanks to everyone that we've had. Erebus, Sean, like you said, our coaching staff. AJ's an amazing, even though he does nothing for us, he's so good. Sean's the best. All our teammates are insane. Crafty's insane. Sucks that he couldn't make it today. And of course, Breeze just carried our morale the whole entire time. We were never down, always happy, and I just think that was an amazing game.
Perfect, my friend. It's been an absolute pleasure. Please go back to your teams, celebrate. You guys definitely deserved it today.
Yep. Thank you for the scrim. I mean, thank you for the cast. Thank you for everything.
Thanks for the scrim.
Actually, before we let you go, Pixel, there's one particular thing about. So it was one of those rounds on Kafe. Yusuke had just gone up into CCTV, absolutely obliterated a couple of your teammates. You walk out secret stairs and all but put the barrel of your gun against the back of his head. What was the comms there? Because you obviously weren't expecting it.
I don't think we even gave a call out that he was there. I had no idea he was there. I went to go for a C4 play, and then I see him staring at lounge. I was so confused.
Yeah, we were like, honestly, there was just a momentary lapse. It looked like you were going to go for the knife even. So no, that's not the play. And yeah, look, one final thing that I want to so you had a number of moments there where it looked like the team were against the wall. They didn't have an absolute shot. Specifically on Kafe, Bone clutches out 3 rounds back to back to back. What was morale like? Because you guys still managed to claw it back to 5-5.
I think we were just up. We were just getting the rounds at the beginning. We got that round. We know that we can get these rounds. That we were getting really close. Even though we were losing them, we're getting really close, and it's been coming from clutch plays from Bone or from any other of their teammates. So we thought, hey, honestly, just keep on fighting. It doesn't matter. We have nothing to lose. Basically, they need these points. So we just kept on fighting and just playing.
Yeah, well, I mean, fair enough. You guys put on a real show. You definitely proved the haters wrong, and hey, this sets up for an even more exciting run to the finish of the season. So best of luck to you guys. We look forward to seeing more from you, and hopefully we'll have you back in the interview booth again. But that is, it's going to be basically it from the synthetic guys. We have one more. Don't worry, I'm going to end it just there. We've got someone from InControl Nation. There's look, you've got to imagine, Chief. There's going to be a little bit of pain there coming out of that series. InControl Nation, they got brought back to 5-5 2 maps in a row. The second time around, they couldn't push it over the edge. So definitely going to be some insight provided here, I think.
We're going to be welcoming Dash into the booth, the coach for INC, as he's still figuring out how to work his mic. Now, I know technology can be hard, and sometimes, clicking that microphone button couldn't be the difference, and we're just, again, waiting for him to do so. But honestly, INC has a great support staff behind them. They have a great org behind them, and it's definitely shown throughout the series, whether or not they're playing Storm competitive series or in any other league. But finally, Dash is going to bless us with his presence. My friend, welcome. I know this series didn't go the way you wanted to, but nonetheless, still congrats. A tie is a tie. You still confirmed 3 points for the day.
Yeah, we got one map, and at the end of the day, we still got some points. So
now it looked like your roster was winning a lot of rounds just based off your clutch potential, just Bone winning gunfights. Was he finding himself in those positions because strategy was just going away, or what was leading him to these miraculous plays?
Well, you never want, clutch plays are always flashy and, great clips.
Yeah.
But obviously you never want to have to be put in that situation. There were just a bunch of mistakes coming out from our end, just some miscommunications going on, things that happened that, we were just going to have to work out, and just some stuff we have to fix.
So are these just some little bruises and marks since your main analyst has departed the roster?
Yeah, so Hawk left us a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
It hasn't been too much of a shift because we still do have Sherbal and myself.
Correct, yeah.
Who can take on that responsibility. But sometimes you just have an off day, and the synthetic guys, they're no team to count out either. So
yeah, they definitely proved that today. Now, moving forward, what is INC going to look like? How are you going to make the adaptations to find yourself to be successful? You're still sitting top 4, but obviously you always want to be top 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just about, we know some of the stuff we did wrong, some of the stuff we'll watch back, we'll see the mistakes that we made, I know being with several of these players for so long, and even, Exile and Evo, we've been together for a good amount of time now, they're super dedicated to improving, taking any criticism, and yeah, they're just really dedicated. So I know that we had a few hiccups today, but it definitely won't last long.
Perfect. Well, I'm gonna have to pass my talking stick over to Blue because I'm sure he has a few more questions for you.
Yeah, coming into it, you guys played the stock standard. You went Kafe, Clubhouse. Obviously, we've seen InControl Nation bring out some more diversification of maps. So, obviously, are we going to see somewhat of a move away from the stock standard? Because, you know, a lot of these, the Kafe, Clubhouse are basically the go-to maps in comp at the moment. They're probably the most flushed out maps. Could we see InControl Nation potentially make a shift away? Because, you know, everyone is understanding them at the moment. That Synthetic were able to read you guys reasonably well. So could that be the play?
Yeah, you know, we're definitely always open. We don't really have one particular map that we go for every single time. We have our preferences, but it's also a matter of the fact of what we're really comfortable on. Because I know a lot of teams will try and analyze, and we do too, but, you know, what the other team is doing, how much they, you know, play, how they perform, which is something you need to consider. But I personally feel the most important aspect when choosing a map is how comfortable you're feeling, because if you take a team to a map that they're not comfortable on, but you're not comfortable on it either, you know, it's kind of a toss-up. So, you know, Kafe Club, they are pretty standard along with like Oregon, which was auto banned. So I wouldn't say we're gonna be shifting away, but we will, you know, we'll just see what happens. Every series will be different.
Yeah, now, one of the players that we highlighted a few times throughout that series was Exile. The man had some absolutely insane multi-frags throughout the run of that series. You're not considering putting him on a bigger gun, potentially, as great as the MPX is in some of those situations. Maybe the players just stick him on the older every round.
Yeah, well, you know, it's definitely, you know, all of our players can have their moments to shine. And, you know, it's honestly, at the end of the day, it's gonna, you know, if he feels he wants something to change, then we're more than happy to. But it's also a matter of, you know, people get, or players can, you know, rack up kills. You know, you have your entries who get their kills, but you also have the support players who get their kills most of the time, not because of, you know, their flicks or whatever, but because they have really good positioning, and that can, you know, you can look at the scoreboard and entry can have the same amount of kills as a support, but how they get those kills can be pretty different. So
yeah, most definitely, and we have to wrap this one up. Unfortunately, we do have a schedule to keep, but InControl Nation, obviously you guys have got some big backing. Surely you guys want to throw out a few thanks to them and everyone that's been supporting you guys thus far.
yeah, definitely huge thanks to Inc, as well as, you know, all of our fans, and of course, obviously, huge shout out to all the players, all 5 of those guys. They really do work super hard.
Well,
Wonderful,
sorry, Chief, you take us away. You started us off. You might as well.
Perfect.
It's definitely
Dash,
been a good one.
I always love speaking to you. I love picking the mind of coaches. Sometimes we talk to players, but it's nice to have, you know, that level mind here, my friend. Like I said, always a pleasure. Go back to your team. I don't know if you're going to be celebrating today, but nonetheless, break down what happened to them, you know, do your VOD reviews, whatever coachy stuff you do.
All right, thanks.
Cheers, mate. Take care. Well, Blue Panda, I think that might be it for us today. It's been a phenomenal showing by both these two teams. I'm so happy to see both of them find impacts today. But that's going to conclude it for Panda and myself today. But don't go anywhere. We're going to be on a 5 to 10 minute break to start up for the next series. But until next time, stay safe, stay well. We'll be back with you later.